Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. At UFCU Dish Falk Field in Austin, Texas, the nation's #2 seed Texas Longhorns need a win today to keep the Super Regional alive. The TCU Horned Frogs are a win away from their first trip to the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. Taking a look at the top half of the bracket, TCU with a Game 1 win over Texas. Florida State leads their Super Regional with Vanderbilt 1-0. Last night, Cal State Fullerton a winner over UCLA. And Florida leads Miami 1-0. Welcome again to the capital of the Lone Star State, Austin, Texas. I'm Carter Blackburn with former Georgia Tech All-American and Major League Baseball All-Star Nomar Garciaparra. Nomar told us yesterday there was going to be an awful lot of good pitching in this Super Regional, and TCU certainly got a great performance from Matt Perk.
They did, and Matt Perk was definitely the story yesterday. I mean, yesterday what he did, he really established the inside part of the plate on right-handed hitters, the glove side of the catcher. He was doing it with his breaking ball, with his fastball. He kept the hitters off balance with that, and by doing that, he was able to expand the zone and go outside when he needed to. And not only that, we see rare how we knew pitching was a premium. Cole Green did a good job for University of Texas, so they had to produce runs. TCU did it by sacrifice flies, a rare wild pitch we saw there on an intentional walk, and then you had Tyler Lockwood come in for TCU and close the game. And right there we saw just a great pitching performance by TCU, and I think that's going to be the key during this series.
Perk goes 7 2/3 to get the win, going to 14-0 on the season. Only one extra base hit for the Texas Longhorns, the home run from Keys. Their 20-game winning streak is snapped. In Game 1 of the Super Regional, only 4 runs. There was not an RBI base hit in Game 1 of the Super Regional. So, Nomar, are we expecting an offensive explosion in Game 2 or more of the same?
Well, I think runs are going to be at a premium, and I think you're going to see a lot of what we call Augie ball going on, not only from Texas, but at TCU side as well. We saw that yesterday, and it was very effective, and I think they're going to have the same game plan today to put runs on the board.
Let's take a look at our starting lineups brought to you by Coke Zero. Texas is actually the visitor today, even though they're playing on their home field here in Austin. It'll be Walla leading off, Loy at shortstop, Shepard at third, Moldenhauer DHs. Rupp catches Kevin Keys, who had the home run yesterday, in the 6th spot. Lusson at third. It's Jonathan Walsh in left field today. Jordan Etier at second base, rounding out the Texas lineup, facing Stephen Maxwell on the mound for TCU.
Yeah, and Stephen Maxwell, what he really brings is he's got great command of his pitches, and he's going to have to establish that early in the game, because if they get to him early, then he seems to be less effective as the game goes on. But if he can get that confidence in the first inning, the confidence grows and grows throughout the game.
Maxwell's first pitch down low, ball 1 to Cole Walla. Stephen Maxwell brings a string of 22 consecutive shutout innings into the game for the TCU Horned Frogs. Walla's 1-0 is fouled off. Walla 0 for 3. This Texas team is only hitting .210 in the NCAA tournament. 3 games in the regional. In Game 1 of the Super Regional. Only run yesterday, only extra base hit, the home run from Kevin Keys.
And it was quite a home run. I mean, he got all of that. We were talking about the wind, and we're wondering if the wind might be a factor today. See if that ball was not going to be knocked down by any means, and he really got a hold of that one.
Augie Garrido, the winningest coach in college baseball history, 5-time national champs at Fullerton in Texas. As Walla grounds that to Taylor Featherston, and Maxwell retires the leadoff man for Texas. So we spoke with Augie Garrido after the Game 1 loss for the Texas Longhorns yesterday, and in typical Augie fashion, his approach was, that kid pitched a heck of a ball game. We'll try better tomorrow.
What a great attitude. I mean, when you see your head coach having an attitude like that, it really breeds on to the rest of your team, because that's what you have to take it. You tip your hat to a great pitching performance and come out and get them today.
Brandon Loy pops his first pitch from Maxwell into right field. Rivera makes the grab. Quickly 2 gone. There is Matt Perk, the freshman lefty. Went 7 2/3. Only 1 run allowed. Coach Schultz Rivera around the outfield for TCU. Whitty, Featherston, Pena, Curry, and Holiday. Same defensive lineup for TCU in Game 2 than it was in Game 1 of this best-of-3 Super Regional. So Stephen Maxwell has the hot hand. I mean, Perk stellar yesterday, but it's been Maxwell who's been dealing of late for the Frogs.
He really has, and like we talked about, he really likes to establish that fastball. and pitch off that fastball. We're not talking about a major sink on his fastball. He throws about, you know, in the low 90s, but he's got great command of it and works both sides of the plate. And what you'll see kind of a slight tail rather than a sink on his fastball. And he's got a really hard curveball that he can pitch off of. And if he throws that curveball for strikes, he's going to be really effective. And he also has a changeup he's worked on so much, so it's going to give you a third pitch that you have to worry about at the plate. But if he's not throwing that curveball for strikes, you can eliminate that and really just focus on his fastball as a hitter. So we'll see how he does through the course of the game.
Fastball up in the zone, hammered into center field. Tant Shepard has the first hit of the game. Holiday backing up the throw, gets away from Curry. No chance for Shepard to advance.
We saw yesterday and during the game from a cutoff from Kevin Keys from the outfield, hitting the cutoff man, and they made a double play at second base from the guy coming off second base. Fundamental baseball, and there you go. You saw another fundamental play. You saw Brandon Holiday back there just covering up first base like he's supposed to. That guy has a lot of energy, and it's good to see. And it's right from the first inning.
Russell Moldenhauer rolls the first pitch to the second baseman Pena. A base hit, but a runner stranded. Scoreless after the first. Taylor Youngman takes the mound for Texas when we come back to Austin.
The NCAA Baseball Super Regionals is presented by Capital One Venture Card, official credit card of the NCAA Men's College World Series, and in part by Lovesa.
Welcome back to UFCU Dish Falk Field in Austin, Texas. Scoreless as we head to the bottom of the first, with the gang on top of the bullpen and the buses along Comal, just east of the main campus of the University of Texas. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups, brought to you by Coke Zero for the TCU Horned Frogs. Featherston, Holiday, Coates, Curry, Elander the designated hitter today, followed by Jansen Whitty, Aaron Schultz in center, Jerome Pena at second, and Brantz Rivera in right field. A school record 90 home runs this season. They face another tough Texas pitcher today, Taylor Youngman.
Yeah, Taylor Youngman comes in here, and he's really done great this year. And he's got such a power fastball with sinking action, with run. Going to see a lot of ground balls as well from him. He's got a slider that he likes to throw to right-handers away and then backdoor to lefties. And he's got a changeup that he works in the lefty that he's not afraid to throw. And what he's trying to develop and really build confidence in this year is his cutter. So he's adding just another dimension, another pitch, and with the development of that cutter, all it takes is just a little bit to get off the square end of the barrel to get a ground ball and get you out.
Youngman game 1 versus TCU last year, 6 shutout innings, and that's what Jim Schlossnagle thought he was really the difference in last year's Super Regional meeting between these two. That was in Austin as well. It went 3 games. Texas won. Last year Texas won on Friday and Sunday to beat the TCU Horned Frogs and advance to Texas' 33rd College World Series. TCU has never been to the College World Series.
And right now there's probably a lot of emotion going on through TCU. They want this game. They're going, okay, we are 1 game away. Let's not get to a 3rd game. Let's try to finish this off.
TCU head coach Jim Schlossnagle now in his 7th season. The Horned Frogs had been to the NCAA tournament in baseball twice prior to Jim Schlossnagle taking over. They have been all 7 years, 2nd straight season in a Super Regional, and a record-setting 50 wins this year for TCU baseball. And they would love to cap that record-setting season with a trip to Rosenblatt. Featherston rolls the 1-2 back to the mound. Youngman takes care of him. The defense behind Taylor Youngman among the best in college baseball. A shift today with Walsh in left. Walla goes to center field. Kevin Keys in right. It's Lusson, Brandon Loy at short. Jordan Etier at second. Tant Shepard and Cameron Rupp behind home plate. Taylor Youngman, the lanky 6'6", 195-pound sophomore from nearby Georgetown, Texas.
That's a good size that you want to see from your starting pitcher. As you're a scout, you're looking at professional baseball, you're like, gosh, I like his size. And we talked to him before the game yesterday, and he was talking about what he really did in the offseason was trying to work out, really stuck around, didn't play any, summer baseball where a lot of guys go out there and maybe play in the Cape League or some of these other leagues around, and he decided not to. He said, you know what, I really need to build some strength, some stamina, and he stuck around here at UT, worked with the strength and conditioning coach, and put on 25 pounds. And he says it's really made a difference and helped him out. And he says, I think I'm going to do that again and continue my strength program.
Brian Holiday lifts the 2-0 into foul territory. Lusson lets it drift into the stands. Youngman gives a lot of credit to strength and conditioning coach Lance Sewell for his offseason workouts. Youngman added 25 pounds. Now, he admits freely that through the heat in the exercise of the Texas spring and summer, he's lost some of that weight, but during the fall, he was up 25 pounds on that rather narrow frame.
Right, and that's the key, especially when you're going to start. Over the course of the season you're going to lose it, and that just comes with experience, maturity when you do that. Even when you're going to college level to the next level in pro ball, you got to know your body and what it can take.
Runs a count to 3-1. And one of the obvious questions is when you have 90+ degree heat and high humidity, how these student athletes deal with it. Youngman says it all goes back to last summer, running and running and running, and then hydrating all day, every day.
Hydration and nutrition, which I remember back in college days was probably the hardest thing to do, or you think you're invincible coming out of high school, like, I don't need to drink that much water, I'm fine, and you find out you do. And also your diet. It's not like you have the best diet. You think I can eat anything, the body will still be here. You learn that real quick as you get older. It's not always the case, and you need it when you're in playing conditions like this.
Youngman's full count pitch to Holiday, hammered in the air to left. Walsh dives but can't come up with it. One hopping the wall, and Brian Holiday has a 1-out double in the first.
It was a good job by Holiday. He stays over that ball. There was a breaking ball. He reaches out. He's out in front of it just a little bit, but he keeps the bat through the zone and is able to drive that ball to left field. I just love the way he attacks those bases right there. He attacks the bases. He goes right out of the box. He's thinking double. And the way you're supposed to think, you have second base, it's a double, and you're like, all right. He keeps his head up and says, okay, maybe there's a possibility of an overthrow. Maybe I'll go to third.
Jim Schlossnagle says Brian Holiday is the most competitive player he has ever coached. What a compliment.
That is a true compliment, especially from Schlossnagle, because he's a competitor himself. I mean, when if you ask him, you're like, who would you like to be facing in the regional? And he says the #1, of course. He goes, if we're not #1, I want to be facing #1, because that's what it takes to get to our goal. And he's doing it right now. I mean, we got the #2 seed, and Texas was #1 throughout the season as well. Was ranked as high as #1 throughout the season. So he has his wish, and he couldn't be happier.
Coates fouls off the 0-1. Well, Jim Schlossnagle knows when you're TCU, to get to Omaha and the College World Series, you are likely going to have to go through Austin, Texas, and the 6-time national champ Texas Longhorns to reach your goals. And here TCU is a victory away from doing exactly that. Youngman's 0-2. Coates chases it, strike 3. Rupp will throw down to first to retire Coates. Holiday advances to third, but Youngman gets a strikeout. Out #2.
There's that curveball we were talking about, that slider that he's not afraid, that he just kind of buried that in the dirt. And when you're looking for a 90+ fastball and you think that's going to hit in the outside corner, it can cause you to go after, swing after a pitch down in the dirt like that. Matt Holiday doing a good job. Brian Holiday, sorry. Thinking of Matt over there. We got a guy, Matt, teammate of mine, and over there playing, but Brian Holiday doing a good job seeing that ball in the dirt and taking the extra base.
I think Brian should take that as a compliment.
Yeah, right.
Matt Curry, first pitch swinging, swings right through the breaker from Youngman.
I was also we were talking about TCU playing against Texas again. You know, losing to them last year in the Super Regional, the extra emotion and the revenge factor, kind of that you want to get back at them and feel, you know, it's even more special if we can get by them to get to our ultimate goal, and that's the College World Series.
Visit with TCU right fielder Brands Rivera, who's from Iowa. I asked him, well, you know, you're not from Texas. Do you still feel the rivalry between TCU and Texas? He said, even in Iowa, you feel the long shadow of the Texas Longhorns. So he said, I know exactly how important beating Texas in a super regional would be.
And what it would mean to the TCU program to be able to get to the College World Series for the first time in their school history. And what Coach Schlossnagle has done for this program over the past 7 years has just been incredible. So I'm sure that's riding on their shoulders. They know about it, they're aware of it, and they want to be that first team.
Curry's out ahead, 3 balls and a strike as Youngman misses with a fastball at the knees. So Matt Curry, the cleanup man for TCU, trying to punch across the first run for the Frogs, attempting to reach the College World Series for the first time. They can do so with a win today after a 3-1 Game 1 win here in Austin. Curry hammers the 3-1 back to the pitcher Youngman, who ends the TCU threat in the first. So Youngman pitches through trouble, scoreless after 1. Game 2 of the Austin Super Regional.
This deep to left center. David Moreau can play. Texas nearly perfect offensively, defensively, and on the mound. Struck him out. It's over. They have won the College World
Series. Texas has special memories from 2005, the last national championship for the Longhorns, their 6th. Game 2 of this Super Regional, scoreless in the second. We visited with some of the Longhorns about what it would mean to play in the College World Series for the last year in Rosenblatt.
Making it back to Omaha would be unbelievable.
You know, we went last year and came 1 game short. Falling 1 game short was a tough one to swallow.
Getting back there and having a chance to win again is definitely a privilege.
33 times Texas has been to the College World Series. Nomar Garciaparra, you were there in 1994. How special was it as a college player to take the field at Rosenblatt Stadium?
I still have memories of that and think about it. I tell people, I go, look, I was very blessed to be able to go on and play professional baseball and have a long career of professional baseball up in the big leagues. And for those, I mean, we know the percentages of guys who actually go out of college or even high school that make it to the big leagues and experience that is very small. And since I experienced the College World Series, I can tell the closest thing to what it feels like to be a big leaguer is if you get to go to the College World Series, because the way the community, that city surrounds you, knows who you are and treat you, is the closest thing you're going to get to feeling like a big leaguer. So I have to tell people, cherish that moment. It's an incredible moment. I also know, you know, for Texas, they're trying to get back, because look at, I mean, just looking at the Texas College World Series title. So there's a tradition. So these guys are going, listen, I'm part of a long tradition. We have to get back.
Cameron Rupp rounds out to the second baseman Pena.
And for Texas, they're going, okay, not only are we part of a long tradition, consistently going to the College World Series, you can see we win it as well. We see all the great players that have played in Texas and have won one. And then last year being 1 game away from, you know, the famous dog pile on the mound at Rosenblatt Stadium, and wanting to do that for the last time as it's being played the last time at Rosenblatt.
Kevin Keys slams a single to the opposite field right center, and Kevin Keys continues his hot hitting during the NCAA tournament. He is now 7 for 16 in the 4+ NCAA tournament games. So 6 NCAA titles for Texas baseball. 2 of them Augie Garridos, 2 Cliff Gustafson, 2 from Bib Falk, and then Uncle Billy Dish, for whom this stadium is partially named. 29 years, but he was coaching when there wasn't an NCAA postseason.
Then for TCU to be able to go back, to go to the College World, not go back, but to go to the World Series for the first time. Us, when we went to it in '94 at Georgia Tech, that was the first trip for Georgia Tech ever in their baseball program. And in the city of Omaha, the people, they know that. And they treat you incredibly. Like, we found that it seemed like there were more fans for us. Like, we were at a home game every time we played because they are cheering kind of for the, they know like you're the underdog or you're the first ones there. We want to make you feel welcome. It was such an incredible atmosphere. Everywhere we were going to restaurants, they were like, hey, you're that shortstop for Georgia Tech. Hey, congratulations. Way to make it. Good job. Good luck in the College World Series. We'll be there. We'll be watching you. We'll be following you. So TCU has no idea what they're in for if they do make it and how special. I mean, they obviously are fighters and grinders and want to do that for the program. But to get there, they're going to enjoy it.
Maxwell burns a strikeout after it went to 3-0. So then how much do you think breaking through, getting to the College World Series, how much do you think that boosted the profile of Georgia Tech and would boost the profile of TCU baseball?
Tremendously. I mean, TCU's done a good job. You know, Schlossnagle, I mean, has done something where TCU's recognized. Obviously here, a second super regional that we see that they're in. You get a guy like Matt Burke, first round draft pick, 14th pick, who doesn't go into the draft and ends up going there and dominating yesterday, but showing I have confidence in this program and this is where I want to play.
Lawson slams the 3-1 pitch through the hole on the right side. Keys will hold up at second. Back-to-back hits from the Longhorns.
Kevin does a good job here taking that pitch. It's over the plate. It's up in the zone. Maxwell wants to stay down in the zone preferably because that's where he's most effective. But that ball, the fastball stays up. He stays through it and just pulls that over to right field.
Last year, only 3 base hits in the game for Texas. They didn't have back-to-back hits all game. Already 3 hits for Texas with just 1 out in the second. Jonathan Walsh, the number 8 hitter, who takes over in left field today as Augie Garrido tries to get a little more pop from his lineup that's hit just above 200 in NCAA games. Walsh has 21 hits on the year. 10 of those are for extra bases. And Maxwell falls behind 2-0.
And we talked about that before the game. You know, he got out of that first inning, did a good job in that first inning, and you know he likes to get that, be effective and gain that confidence as the game goes on. You know, we're only here in the second inning. It's key for Texas. If they want to get to him, they got to get to him early. And he's trying to establish both sides of the plate. That command, the command has really been the key for him all year. And if he's not having it, Texas doing a good job getting in hitters' counts. And when you fall behind as a pitcher, you got to throw one over the plate, and they're going to hammer it.
Maxwell misses again.
You know, right here, Augie's going, okay, 3-0. Another 8th hitter, and you think about that, but in college baseball, even 8 hitters, you know, have good averages. You know, Walsh is hitting 288. And they're going to say, you know, let's take a strike. Let's get the bases loaded. You know, Augie's playing for 90 feet every time and get guys on, and so we can have a big inning here. Now he's like 3-1. It looked like he gave the sign, says, all right, swing away. You get that pitch. I want you to hit it as far as you can and drive him in.
Keys just gets back to the bag at second on the pickoff play. So Walsh into left field today. Cole Walla, who's the usual left fielder, plays center. And the freshman from Coppell, Texas, trying to put the Longhorns on the board. Rolls over the 3-1. So a full count, 1 out pitch due from Stephen Maxwell, who's gone now 23 into third without giving up a run, including the regional clinching win over Baylor. 8 shutout innings and a 9-0 win for Maxwell and TCU. The full count pitch. Popped behind home plate and foul as Walsh chased one up around his eyes.
That's what we talked about. You know, Maxwell keeping that ball up in the zone, and that's what gets him in trouble over the course of the season. He really wants to keep that down, and right now he got away with it. You know, as a hitter, you're swinging for that. You swing up, you got a 3-2 count, you got to protect the plate, but he's got to try to keep that ball down.
Full count pitch again, fouled off again by Walsh. Well, Jonathan Walsh is making his first ever NCAA at-bat count. 8th pitch of the at-bat for the freshman from Coppell, coming from Stephen Maxwell. Strike 3. Huge K from Stephen Maxwell.
That was a big K right there. He went inside. Might have been a little bit off the plate, but for me, I'm always going, it's just a little bit too close to take, especially in this situation. You saw that ball. It looked like it was really going to be inside, but he had a nice little run on his fastball that kind of came over and fouled over the plate and caught the corner of the inside corner. It was a good pitch.
2 gone up to Jordan Etier. Maxwell comes back with a breaker that catches the outside corner for strike 1. Indeed, Jordan's father, Mark, is a Horned Frog. Rooting for Texas this weekend, however.
I love home fans. You know, every time there's a strikeout or call strike, it's never a strike. If it's you know, and if they don't call it a ball and their guy's pitching, it's like, come on, how do you not call that a strike? It's a perfect pitch, even if it's in the dirt.
Maxwell's out ahead of Etier, 1-2.
Right now, if you're Texas, I know you just got a couple of batters, but you got to be aware of that. Right now, it looks like that umpire's really giving them, you know, the outside corner, you know, maybe just a little bit off the plate, establishing that. Maxwell's establishing. You got to be really aware of that.
Fastball lifted in the air to right. Rivera calls for it. Squeezes it. Texas puts runners at first and second with 1 out and can't get a run home. Maxwell pitches out of the jam to keep game 2 of the Austin Super Regional scoreless, heading to the bottom of the 2nd. Maxwell gets Etier to fly out to end the Texas rally.
You are watching the road to Omaha. Go Frogs.
More drama from Vanderbilt and Florida State after that thriller yesterday. The walk-off home run at the bottom of the 9th, giving Florida State the Game 1 win. Here in Austin, Texas, it was all pitching yesterday. Matt Perk, a winner for TCU, going 7 2/3, pitching TCU to a 3-1 win. Today, it's Taylor Youngman against Stephen Maxwell, the Mountain West Conference Pitcher of the Year.
We see Vanderbilt over there at Florida State going, okay, jumping the early league, going, okay, we got to establish this, guys. I mean, this is what's great about Super Regionals, and I love this format where you get 2 out of 3 against the 2 teams, where one team might have taken it. You might see a great pitching performance, and you know, we're going to go out there and we're going to come back. It's not going to be an easy one. We're going to take it to 3 games if we can, and you're going to have to earn it to get to the College World Series.
So the college baseball tournament is a little bit odd in that every weekend there's a different type of a format. Last weekend it was the regionals, where there's 4 teams getting together at a site. TCU hosted in Fort Worth, Texas hosted here in Austin. 4 teams, double elimination. 1 team advances to the Super Regional round, and then that's what we're in this weekend, where it's just 2 teams playing a best of 3. There are 8 Super Regional sites. The winner of each Super Regional advances on to the College World Series in Omaha, where it's double elimination and College World Series play beginning a week from today in Omaha. And then when it's down to just 2 teams in Omaha, then they play a best of 3 championship series. So it's double elimination throughout the NCAA tournament. This weekend it's just 2 teams going at it, and for the 2nd straight year here in Austin, it's TCU and Texas going at it.
The crowd really getting on the umpire right now. You see Taylor Youngman going out there trying to establish that outside as well. I think he's just been a little bit farther out than Maxwell was, and they wanted as much as Maxwell was getting it.
Changes speeds on Elander and strikes out a TCU designated hitter. 2nd K from Taylor Youngman. Home plate umpire Tony Walsh is not endearing himself to the folks in burnt orange.
Not right now, he's not. But, you know, like, you got to be aware of that as a team, as each side, TCU and Texas, as you're playing, you got to see what he's calling. You got to see, the key is about consistency. You want to look for the consistency from the umpire. If he's giving you, if it's covering that outside plate, you know, to a right-hander, and he's maybe a little bit off, but he's calling it consistently, you got to know that. That means he might not be giving that much on the inside, that other part of the plate. You know, he's human. He's seen the ball. He's trying to figure out exactly, you know, where the release point of the pitcher as well. Sometimes he's just more comfortable calling that. Depends on how he's lining up over the catcher. There's a lot of different factors, but you also have to adjust to that. If he's consistent, you're fine. You make the adjustment. If you don't adjust, shame on you. But if he's not consistent and he's calling it out, in, everywhere, and you can't establish that, then you have something to complain about.
Whitty bloops a single into right center for the second TCU hit. Now, are you really okay with an umpire who's just consistent, even if you're not in agreement with his strike zone?
Yeah, you'd like to say, hey, a strike zone's a strike zone. Call the plate. That's what it, you know, that's why they have it there. It's not here to give 2 inches off the plate or inside, but at the same time, yeah, I'd rather have the consistency. If I'm coming up at the plate and I think it's outside, and maybe I think it's literally an inch outside, because you can see that. And I say, hey, is that your limit? Is that the farthest you're going? And he says, yes. Okay, now I know what I have to cover. If he tells me no, it caught a lot of the plate, I'm going, gosh, you're not seeing anything, and I got to worry about more off the plate. But if I know that, and then the next pitch might be an inch farther out, and he calls it a ball, I'm like, okay, well, you're consistent. Good. I got to cover that maybe 1 inch off the plate. I recognize that. You're seeing it. I understand that. Hopefully, you're not giving him inside. If the guy throws an inch off inside and you give him that, I can actually argue and go, listen, one or the other, please. Don't give them both, so I'll still have to cover a plate.
Runner goes. Schultz swings through the 1-0 pitch. The throw is in time to nail Jansen Whitty. Cameron Rupp catches Whitty stealing.
We saw Coach Schlossenhill going here for a hit and run, and it was just outside. You got to try as best you can to just put the bat on the ball, because, you know, the runner's not thinking about trying to get the best jump. He's just trying to get going, motion, and you're really depending on the hitter to put that ball in play. So you see here, there he's going. He's going to peek in, which also has a tendency to slow you down, but he's really worried and making sure he can't get picked off. That's your first priority as a leadoff guy on first base when you know it's a hit and run. Don't get picked off. And then once he starts his motion, then you got to take off.
Schultz strikes out. Rupp throws him out on the pitch in the dirt. A single from Whitty, but Youngman and Rupp make sure that TCU doesn't break through in the second. Welcome back to Austin, Texas. You're watching ESPN's coverage of the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. Game 2 of the Austin Super Regional between the #2 seed in the NCAA Baseball Tournament, the Texas Longhorns, and the TCU Horned Frogs. Frogs took Game 1 yesterday here in Austin, meaning that TCU is a victory away from its first appearance in the College World Series. However, last time Texas lost Game 1 of a Super Regional was 2005. They came back and not only won the Super Regional, they won the national championship. Same scenario in 2002, losing Game 1 of the Super Regional. They get wins in Games 2 and 3 to advance to Omaha and then go on to win the College World Series. So Longhorn fans hoping that history repeats itself in 2010 as Cole Waller flies out to begin the third.
You know, you're right, and they're definitely hoping that history repeats itself. But I really don't think yesterday they were going, you know what, guys, if we lose, we're okay, because the last time we've lost the first game, we've gone to the College World Series and won.
Let's see, 2002. That means that the freshmen on this year's team would have been about 10 years old when that happened.
Right,
so my hunch is they're not looking back. Although Brandon Loy has certainly heard about one of those past Texas champion teams. His father Darren played on Texas 1983 national championship squad, and that was under Cliff Gustafson, a team that had Roger Clemens, Calvin Schiraldi, Bill Bates.
Those are some pretty good names right there.
Surprisingly, in '83, I think Schiraldi was the only guy who was an All-American. They were known as a team without any superstars. And Roger Clemens was on the pitching staff. It was before the world had become acquainted with the Rocket.
You just need a little something to light the fire under him, and he'll show you. It's like, really, no superstars. Watch this. Didn't want to make him mad when I was facing him.
Just ask Mike Piazza.
Not just Mike, a lot of guys. I think I have still a bruise somewhere on my rib.
Maxwell walks Brandon Loy on 5 pitches. College World Series returns to Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha one last time. Coverage begins 1 week from today, Saturday, June 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern, live on ESPN HD. For more, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. So the College World Series will move on from Rosenblatt Stadium, but stay in Omaha, Nebraska. There's a new downtown stadium. So the Men's College World Series will remain in Omaha, Nebraska. And Augie Garrido, who first went to Omaha in 1959 playing for Fresno State, who's won the College World Series 5 times at Cal State Fullerton in Texas. That was the important thing as we visited with him and his Omaha memories. He says, you know, I'm going to miss a lot of things about Rosenblatt, but I'm just glad that it stays in Omaha, Nebraska.
And I think the key, that's really the key, is staying in Omaha, which they're doing. I always say, you know, you talk about the field, you talk about Rosenblatt Stadium being gone, but what really becomes the stadium is when the fans are there, and that's the people of Omaha.
And again, there's 8 super regional sites this weekend. Vanderbilt, Florida State, 1-0 Seminoles in the series. Fullerton wins last night. Florida wins last night. That's the top half of the bracket. The bracket that TCU and Texas are competing in. Taking a look at the other half of the bracket. All beginning play today, beginning with South Carolina and those Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, I think yesterday we were calling Chanticleers. Boy, were we wrong. It's Chanticleers, and I'm glad we cleared that up. And, you know, there's oftentimes they're just called the Chants. And what is a Chanticleer?
Well, it really goes back, I mean, just off the top of my head, Nomar. It goes back to Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. More specifically, he comes from the Nun's Priest Tale, a story within the Canterbury Tales. The Chanticleer is a proud and fierce rooster who dominates beyond the barnyard. So that's what a Chanticleer is. I mean, just off the top of my head.
Off the top of your head, that was pretty impressive. I mean, Canterbury Tales, huh? So that's just off the top of your head. I like it. Dominant rooster in the barnyard, right? And I believe they're going up against the Gamecocks of South Carolina, right? So
quite a fight.
Wow, you got the Gamecocks and the dominant rooster. And here we have the Longhorn and Horned Frogs. There's a lot of animals, a lot of beasts going at it on these regionals.
Your etymological breakdown of the horned frog yesterday was quite popular. I got quite a few comments about horned frogs squirting blood from their
eyes. Watch out. 4 foot. At 5 feet, you're okay, but if you're in that 4-foot mark, you might get a stream of blood at you.
Well, Stephen Maxwell on the mound for the Horned Frogs has walked back-to-back batters. Runners first and second as you take a look at a breakdown. An incredible year for Coastal Carolina, an emerging college baseball power. 55-8, an undefeated run through the Big South, and they can slug 107 home runs. Anthony Mayo, the ace of the staff for Coastal Carolina, but it's a dangerous bunch of Chanticleers.
Chanticleers, the Chants. You know, we were talking about yesterday about, you know, I'm scared of a horned frog. Now that I know that a horned frog can spit blood 4 feet out of its eye. And not only that, it has a perennial gland on the top of its head that looks like a third eye. And I'm going, wait a minute, now you got blood coming at me and I got a third eye. And then, you know, a longhorn, the longhorn's dangerous. And we were talking about the Chanticleers yesterday. Now that I know it's a dominant rooster, there's somebody, that's something to be reckoned with.
TCU pitching coach Randy Macy is going to come out to visit with Stephen Maxwell after back-to-back walks. Starts Moldenhauer off with a strike. Out of 48 pitches, 28 strikes, which is not a very good ratio.
You want to have a lot more. We talked about in the beginning, he wants to throw strikes, establish the strike zone. They talk about what makes him effective is his command, and if you look at those numbers right there, the command has been on. And not only that, I was curious to see what Augie Garrido was going to do when you had a guy on first, and he likes to run. The Horned Frog blood right there. See, watch out, beware of the Horned Frog blood. That's what I talk about. I mean,
well, I guarantee you if TCU wins this game, it's going to end up on Jim Schlossnagle. Moldenhauer looks, did it get him?
Got him.
Yes, it did. Apparently the only one who noticed was Tony Walsh. Brian Holiday, TCU catcher, and now Jim Schlossnagle will ask for clarification, but if it touches any part of the uniform, that is a hit by pitch.
Now it's tough to see it right there on the replay, but you know, Tony Walsh is probably the best person to see that, and he knows better than anybody, and he got that. And the other thing I saw was Russell Moldenhauer went over there, and he was already going to first base, so he acted like he got hit, and that's some guys can't act, and some guys just say, hey, I got hit. And when I look at Russell Moldenhauer, that guy wants to hit, so I believe he went to first, because he said, guys in running scoring position, I want to knock him in, but he took his base, so I believe he got hit there.
So without the benefit of a base hit, Texas has loaded the bases. A walk to Loy, who's at third, a walk to Shepard at second, and Russell Moldenhauer hit by a pitch, loading the bases with one out for Cameron Rupp. 13-game hitting streak snapped yesterday with an 0 for 4 day. But the number 5 hitter in Texas order, who last year 3 for 7 versus TCU, trying to get the first run of the game across.
I mean, the real key right now with that umpire is really giving them that outside corner. You really got to be thinking, drive the ball the other way. Look for the base hit, look for the ball out over the plate. Give him the inside pitch.
Rupp sends the 1-1 right into the glove of the second baseman Pena. Tossed to second, not in time, but Pena snags the line drive to keep Texas off the board.
That's just bad luck for Rupp right there. He did everything I said. He stayed inside, drove that ball to right center. He crushed it, and just a great play by Jerome Pena over there at second base. He leaps up, gets that as far as he can go, and tries to double him up at second. That was pretty close over there at second. That might have been the double play TCU was looking for to get out of this inning. And the umpire right there calling him safe and getting back to your feet after the shortstop stumbled over there and keeping the guy at third base.
Slow breaker. Keys swings through at strike one. Kevin Keys has had the hottest bat for Texas in the NCAA tournament. He is 7 for 16 with 4 runs batted in. Home run yesterday. He has the only Texas RBI of this super regional.
And if you're Texas right now with the bases loaded, these are the 2 guys you wanted to see coming up to the plate, and Cameron Rupp and Kevin Keys. And now we have Kevin with 2 outs, and to win ball games, you want to see how effective you guys are with runners in scoring position and 2 outs.
Maxwell's 1-1 just misses. An inning ago in the second, Texas had runners first and second, 1 out. Couldn't advance him, couldn't get him home. Now bases loaded with 1 out. Maxwell trying to get out of another jam. Keys waits back on the 2-1, but pops it foul. The only run of the game for Texas yesterday was Kevin Keys' 15th of the year. That leads all Texas Longhorns. It came in the 7th off of Matt Perk.
And Matt Perk just kind of left that, probably the one pitch that he kind of left over the plate yesterday, and Kevin Keys, you know, got all over that and made him pay for that. But, you know, if you're going to give up a home run, make it a solo shot. And Maxwell's got to think about it. I don't want to make a mistake because he can do the same thing to me. Oh, that was close to a balk right there.
It's amazing that we're in game 2 of a super regional. Neither team has a base hit with a runner in scoring position. Did he go? Appeal down to first base, no, says Scott Irby. So A full count, 2-out pitch due. The runners will be off with the pitch.
I was looking at Brian Holiday does a great job right there blocking that plate. Ball in the dirt, coming down. He did not go. He held up. He's a big, strong man. He can hold that swing up. But Brian Holiday doing a great job back there to keep from a run scoring over there 90 feet away.
Full count pitch. Hit to the left side of the infield. Whitty charges, throwing to first. Wide of the bag. Texas scores. 2 runs will score. Nothing Texas on the 2-out bases loaded infield roller from Kevin Keys.
So we got Keys going over there. He gets the top of that ball. He rolls it. He goes, okay, we know this is a slow roller. I got to hustle down to first base. I am moving. I want to get this. I want to get a base hit out of it. And right now, no one got to see this, but Brian Holiday was complaining to the umpire and seeing that. And you kind of saw the elbow that Kevin Keys throw that. This is what he's complaining about, throwing that elbow at your first baseman where you can actually call, interference there, obstruction from the runner and call the guy out. And Jansen Whitty trying to make a play, throwing off balance and kind of threw that ball wide. But I can see why Brian Holiday was all over that, saying, hey, you can't do that. You can't throw an elbow at my first baseman like that. And that's just, I was so impressed by him noticing that and being aware of that, and looking at that is quite impressive, because usually you get caught up looking at the play and he's watching the runner and saying, hey, listen, this is something, this could have saved us a run right here. Call that interference, call that obstruction right there.
Was scored an error all the way against Jansen Whitty, so both runs are unearned. 2-0 Texas. Still runners second and third, 2 going. Kevin Lesson looks at ball 2.
Right there, you see that? See how he kind of went out there with his arm, his elbow kind of out there? You're supposed to be thinking, I'm just supposed to get to first base, not go over there and hit the guy. I mean, there's Brian Holiday right there in Tony Walsh's face going, listen, he can't do that. He can't throw the elbow. And there's also, I know if you look at the line, it's pretty interesting the way the rules are. You see that box that kind of goes outside the first baseline. That's where you're supposed to run. And I always go, how do we do that? How do we run on the outside and then come back when the base is on the inside of the line? It's very difficult, but that's the rule. So you really can't run in there, even if there's a play on that side of the field. He could have easily been called out right there and called an obstruction by the runner going down to first base.
Lesson hammers the 3-1 pitch into the gap in right center. 2 more Texas runs will score. 4-0 Longhorns.
Kevin Lawson just does a good job here, just driving that ball. He, not only that, when you think about Maxwell, we talked about it, he was getting behind. He was 3-1 on the count. He can just look for that fastball to drive, and he did, and he made him pay for that. You got 2 guys in scoring position. He drives that ball to right center and puts them up 4-0.
The first hit with runners in scoring position for either team in this Super Regional comes with 2 outs after the error. 4 Texas runs across, all with 2 outs. Remember, it was a full count 2-out pitch to Kevin Keys. When he rolled it to third, Whitty commits the error, allowing the first 2 to score. Lawson drives in 2 more. And now Jonathan Walsh will try and keep the 2-out rally going.
Stephen Maxwell right here. He just really needs to just relax, settle down, go back to throwing strikes, establishing the low part of the zone, try to keep that ball down. Don't worry about so much. I mean, these guys are seeing him. They're going to hit it, but, maybe not be afraid to pitch the contact. Let's get some ground balls. Let's get out of this way, then trying to figure out, like, I got to strike everybody out now. And it will cause the ball to stay up in the zone and for them to pound it. Just relax. Let's get some ground balls. Let me use my running fastball to hopefully they can run over. Roll that ball over and get a ground ball and get you out of this inning.
Maxwell's shutout streak is by the board.
think when it's all said and done, we're really going to have to go back to that play and that Kevin Key's going down to first base. I know Jansen Whitty's going to be upset with himself, throwing that ball away, but at the same time, I still can't believe the way Brian Holiday was so aware of that and saying, hey, you should have called him out. You should have called him out for throwing that elbow, and they'd be out of this inning, and we'd still be at 0-0 right now.
Wall swings through the 2-2. But Texas comes up with the first 4 runs of Game 2 of the Super Regional. All 4 crossed with 2 outs. The 2-seed Texas Longhorns lead it 4-0. Oh, maybe Florida State can come back the way Vanderbilt did yesterday in the Tallahassee Super Regional. Here in Austin, Texas, the Longhorns score 4 runs on only 1 hit in the top of the 3rd. All 4 runs crossed with 2 outs. Coverage of the road to Omaha continues on ESPNU and ESPN2 tonight with a pair of games. First at 6 Eastern on ESPNU, it's Alabama taking on Clemson. Then at 7 Eastern on ESPN2, you'll see either Florida against Miami or UCLA versus Cal State Fullerton. The NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One on ESPNU and ESPN2 tonight. On tonight's 7 Eastern Game 2 of the Miami versus Florida Super Regional. Back in 2005, it was Texas defeating Florida in the championship series of the College World Series. Pena hits the 0-1 to the second baseman Etier, and Pena's struggles in the NCAA tournament continue. He is now just 2 for 13.
Say you're a fan of college baseball right now, what a great time to be watching college baseball. And if you're not a fan, what a great time to tune in and see what college baseball is all about. And I think ESPN is doing just a great job because they are televising every single game in all of their channels, whether it's ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU. You can follow it all in every regional, so you can really see what college baseball is all about as we're going into Omaha and really see what the ultimate college baseball tournament is, and see that wonderful city of Omaha come around, embrace this wonderful event, the College World Series, which I was so fortunate enough to be a part of, and have lifelong memories that I can share with my children.
And Nomar, you get to go back to Omaha and Rose and Black for will this be the first time since '94?
It will be the first time, so I'm curious to see all the changes have been made. I'm looking forward to going back out there, going back around the city, enjoying the city. Hopefully I get to tailgate out there. Hopefully I have some time to go out there and find some nice people out there in the parking lot and smell a few things that are like, that smells really good. Hey, what are the chances if I can get that, that hot dog or that burger? Or what is that? Are those ribs? Can I have some of that? And just enjoy myself out there. What a wonderful time.
The taste of Omaha is something to be enjoyed, and I suggest that you go down to the bottom parking lot where the LSU fans hang out. Even though LSU will not be at the College World Series, there will be LSU fans there tailgating, cooking, and perhaps enjoying other things throughout the days. Rivera's down on strikes, and Youngman quickly puts away both Pena and Rivera. 4 strikeouts now for Taylor Youngman, who seems to be relying on his breaking ball.
He's really relying on that breaking ball. By seeing him throwing so many breaking balls, especially for a power pitcher from a fastball, and really likes to rely on his fastball, it would make me think that maybe he's not really feeling his fastball and maybe not having the confidence in his fastball right now. And kudos to him going, if I don't feel confident in my fastball, I can come back and say, you know what, I'm going to have confidence in my breaking ball. My breaking ball is feeling, let's go out there, let's establish that. And then coming back and maybe later on, I can feel my fastball. If they're looking breaking ball, I can come in with my fastball. Even if I may not have kind of the power behind it, it'll definitely add a few miles an hour if you're thinking breaking ball first and foremost as a hitter.
So that fastball hits 91 on our gun, which is not top speed for Youngman, but I guess if you're talking about pitching off of the breaking ball, then that you can spot it at 91. I mean, is that the goal now?
Command is first and foremost is key, and I think we saw that just with Maxwell from TCU not having the command, and he's been effective so long I mean, throughout this year, he's been so effective, and it's because of his command. But it's not always the speed. Having the power is definitely an advantage, but having the command, I think, is more so than the power. And even though he relies on his power, Taylor Youngman, he's going to his other pitches to set up. I mean, like I said, if he's establishing a breakup, if you're a hitter and you're thinking, okay, well, he doesn't have his fastball, I can look breaking ball. Well, he's being extremely effective with his breaking ball. He's throwing more sliders, more curveballs, more changeups. Then I'm assuming it's going to be 95, but 91 then becomes 95 because I'm looking for something off speed.
Goes the fastball on the 1-2 pitch. Featherston lifts it to right. Keys back to make the grab. A 1-2-3 inning for Youngman in the third. A beneficial third inning for the Texas Longhorns. Out to a 4-0 lead. Our game track brought to you by Coke Zero shows 4 runs across for the Texas Longhorns in the top of the third. All 4 of those runs scored with 2 outs. Lusson 2-run double. That's the first hit for either side with a runner in scoring position. So in the third inning, ball 4 to Lloyd, ball 4 to Shepard, and then Moldenhauer was hit by a pitch to load the bases. Cameron Rupp lined out, but then with 2 outs on a full count pitch, the roller to third base by Kevin Keys. 2-base error by Jansen Whitty. Kevin Lusson follows up with another 2-out, 2-run double, and Texas scores 4 runs in the top of the third, all with 2 outs. Maxwell was a strike away from getting out of that inning. Had a full count 2-out pitch to Kevin Keys. Couldn't get out of the inning, and now Maxwell takes the mound trailing 4-0. And Nomar, you talked about how momentum was so important for Stephen Maxwell.
It really is. He's a confident guy on the hill, and the confidence grows once he can get out of those early innings. If he has 1, 2, 3 innings early, he seems to carry that through. I was talking to Chuck Lamondola, the great broadcaster for TCU, who's been there for, going into his 14th season. I mean, he gets to see him and watch him all throughout the season and watch how effective he's been all year. And he was talking about that he's a type of pitcher that really breeds on that confidence, builds on that confidence, and that confidence grows throughout the game. And really, that first inning, if he struggles in the early innings, he loses that confidence, is trying to find himself, and can lose command of his pitches that we see right now. So we'll see how much that's going to affect him. If he can get back on track, come out and give a good performance, keep him in the game, because TCU still has a chance to get back in this game. I mean, in college baseball, 4-0 lead, the game is not over. Even if you have a great pitcher like Taylor Youngman on the hill, it's not over. See what they can do. And the pitch count already to 72 for the junior from the Woodlands, Stephen Maxwell. It's the 3-1 ground ball to Featherston. And Curry managed to get his foot back down on the bag to retire Jordan Etier, out number 1 of the 4th. Stephen Maxwell, a couple of years ago, had the reconstructive elbow surgery known as Tommy John surgery, the ligament replacement. And he said while the physical work to get back was difficult, it was really the confidence and regaining your confidence, not only in your elbow but in your pitches. He feels towards the end of this year, when he went on that run that ended today of 24 2/3 straight scoreless innings, that he had finally regained the confidence that he had prior to the Tommy John surgery 2 years ago. Well, I think for anybody coming off an injury, that's first and foremost, but playing in this game, confidence is so important, not only as a pitcher on the hill, but as a hitter as well. You want to have confidence when you step in the box. You want to, you got to believe that you can hit anybody, or that and that's what I always believe, that you step in there. If I don't feel good, or if I didn't feel bad, you're like, oh gosh, anybody can get me out. You lack that confidence. You've already are beating yourself. So it's good to hear that he has that confidence coming back, especially coming off of such a tough injury.
The 2-1 punch back up the box. Featherston manages to make the play behind the bag and throw out Cole Walla.
It's a great play by Taylor Featherston right there. He just got a good jump on that ball. Bounces over the pitcher. You saw Stephen Maxwell trying to go over there, make that play. Taylor comes over there, reaches far to his left, gathers himself, gets his shoulders square, even though his momentum is taken out to right field, to get his shoulders square to put a good throw to first base. That's not an easy play, easy throw at all.
Nomar Garcia-Parra should know.
I love seeing good plays like that at shortstop. I'm a little bit biased, you know. Makes me want, you know, it's also nice. I was one of the guys before when they were practicing the other day. I was watching practice. It was actually Taylor going, hey, you want to go take some ground balls with me at short? And I'm like, boy, I would love to. I go, I'm afraid I might blow out, but especially on this turf, you know, you're going to get a true hop every time. Seems like with this sport turf, it might slow it down just a little bit. It's like a pillow out there, nice, and things like that. You can see when you have a guy like Taylor Featherston who has some range, and you get a ball like that, it looks like a hit off the bat, and he is able to range far enough and make a great play and show his athleticism to get the guy out.
7 hits yesterday for TCU. Several of those were hard hit ground balls that made it through the infield. And talking with Jim Schlossnagle after the game, he said, I'm amazed we got those ground balls to get through the infield, because this is a very soft, spongy like infield that slows it down as Lloyd draws the 2-out walk.
It does slow it down, and as an infielder, these are the times you're like, God, I can take ground balls all day.
ESPN's ALNL Showdown begins Sunday and Monday night. First on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, 8 Eastern, White Sox and Cubs. Then catch 2 of the best hitters in the game on ESPN's Monday Night Baseball, 7 Eastern, Ichiro and the Mariners against Albert Pujols and the Cardinals. Both games part of the ALNL Showdown presented by State Farm. Available on ESPN3.com Sunday and Monday. And Jim Schlossnagle now will head out to the mound, and he's going to make a pitching change. So Stephen Maxwell lasts only 3 2/3 innings. We'll tell you about the new TCU pitcher when we come back to Austin. Horns on top, 4-0. Texas baseball hoping it's another banner year in 2010. 6 times they've claimed the NCAA National Championship against TCU in Game 2 of this Super Regional. After the Horned Frogs won Game 1, Stephen Maxwell only lasts 3 2/3, giving up 4 runs, all of them unearned. Trent Appleby now on in relief for TCU.
Yeah, Trent Appleby comes in. His fastball, he goes, it's not in the in the low 90s. He's, you know, he's about the high 80s, 84 to 87. But he comes over here with a sidearm.
Pickoff attempt goes wide of first. So before Appleby even throws a pitch, a wide pickoff attempt, and Loy's into scoring position with 2 gone.
He's got a runner in scoring position. Not the way you wanted to really start that off. But we were saying, he comes in, he's kind of a sidearm release point, kind of a slinger. He'll have a sinker. Here he goes. He's trying to pick him off, and he made a good throw to first base over there. The first baseman just off the tip of his glove, and it went by him and able to runner to advance.
So the error is on Curry, the first baseman. Second TCU error. The last TCU error allowed Texas to open up and score 4 runs last inning in the 3rd.
Yeah, they're probably looking to do that, especially with 2 outs, see if they can take advantage of it. But you know, Trent's gonna try to stop it with his fastball that sinks, and try to get those ground balls with that sweeping slider as well, coming from the side out there. Makes it tough on right-handed hitters. You really got to stay in the box and not worry about anything but stay over the ball and drive it. And not bail out like it's, because it looks like it's coming right at you when he's coming that far outside.
Appleby's 0-2 pitch to Tant Shepard is lifted into right center. This will drop for a base hit, scoring the 5th Texas run. All 5 Longhorn runs come with 2 outs.
I felt like Tant Shepard right there was listening to our broadcast, and I said, stay over the ball, stay through it, especially with a guy sidearm and slinging the ball, and you have a tendency to bail out and pull out that front shoulder, and he didn't at all right there. He was able to take that ball and drive it over to right center for a base hit. Here we go. He stayed, that front shoulder stays right in there, and you just see that head down, and he throws those hands and drives it to right. That's a pretty swing.
Russell Moldenauer trying to keep the 2-out rally going for Texas. So with 2 outs in the 3rd, it was a scoreless game. Longhorns put up 4 runs with 2 outs in the 3rd, and now adding their 5th run with 2 outs in the 4th. And Appleby falls behind Russell Moldenauer, 2-0.
Russell Moldenauer, he keeps those hands so low. I love it when his stance, he's just there. His hands are really low when he starts. He reminds me of Matt Stairs up in the big leagues, going over there and just ready to, with the power, seeing the ball that he likes and swing as hard as he can to drive it. Well, there he goes. Now the umpire's establishing the other side of the plate. So I'm a little lost right here. So I'm not going to lie. I was going, okay, you're establishing one side of the plate, stay with it. But now he seems to be going out there on the other side of the plate. So, you know, both these teams have their work cut out for them.
We go back to what Augie Garrido said before this Super Regional began with two relatively evenly matched teams. It was going to be about the mistakes. Yesterday was Texas making the mistakes. The wild pitch on the intentional walk, allowing the second TCU run to score. Now in game 2 of the Super Regional, a pair of TCU errors with 2 outs have aided Texas to a 5-0 lead. Right now, all 5 Texas runs are unearned because Lloyd came home after the error put him in scoring position on the pickoff attempt.
That's an excellent point. It really is the key, is that, you know, capitalizing on those mistakes.
Appleby gets strike 2. You
can really see the way that ball really tails when he throws the ball, when he's releasing that point so far away from his body when you sling that ball, because of those slide arm slingers, which I really didn't like facing when I was playing.
Moldenhauer fouls off the full count 2-out pitch. That's off of his instep. So Shepard will go back to first.
You often see that foul ball off your front foot on a right-hander when the guy's throwing a sidearm with that much sink. It's probably another reason why I didn't like facing these type of pitchers so much, because I knew, I was like, all right, if I hit this and if I miss hit it, it's going to be right off my shin and I'm going to have to ice that. It's going to be hurting me all night.
Shepard off and running. Breaking ball called strike 3 on Moldenhauer. Texas comes up with another 2-out run. 5-0 Longhorns. When we come back, some of Augie's memories of Nomar Garciaparra. Augie Garrido's Texas Longhorns now have a 5-0 lead on TCU. Game 2 of this Super Regional. Back when Augie was at Cal State Fullerton in 1994, he has a pretty good memory of the shortstop from Georgia Tech.
I believe it was the top of the 12th inning, we were the home team. It was a game being played to see who was going to go into the finals of the College World Series. They had a brilliant shortstop for Georgia Tech named Nomar no, just teasing. Well, he comes up to bat in the top of the 12th and hits a home run and puts Georgia Tech 1 run ahead. We come back in the bottom of the 12th. Dante Powell leads off, hits a triple to right center. We got a runner on third, nobody out, and do not score the run. And Georgia Tech goes on to the final game. So I hope he has kind words to say about that gift.
Now, Augie called it a gift. Do you have kind words to say about what Augie calls the gift?
Well, I have kind words about Augie, but I don't know if it was a gift. I mean, you know, it was a pitch we had to take to actually win and go into the College World Series. I know we talked about him last year. I mean, the last game, talking about how he recruited me, and he sent me all the way out to Georgia Tech. So I'm go to Georgia Tech so I don't have to play against you. Well, I was able to get back to him at the College World Series and knock them out for us to go to the final game.
Now, after that win over Cal State Fullerton, you went on and played Oklahoma in the championship game, Larry Cochel's Oklahoma team. And
yeah, we don't have to talk about that one.
Yeah,
we can just talk. Well, let's talk about the Cal State Fullerton when I hit the home run and leave the Oklahoma one out. So yeah.
Now, Oklahoma then won that 1994 national championship, but I understand you kept a souvenir from the Sooners.
Well, yeah, you know, it's one other thing that's just great about the College World Series is just the sportsmanship and that the College World Series brings out. When I was there, you know, obviously I went to Georgia Tech. I'm from California, Los Angeles, and Oklahoma, I think about 8 of their 9 starters were from California. So when they were there, and you get to see other teams, you get to talk to them. I'm like, man, I felt right at home with these guys. We're all from California, and especially one guy in particular, their second baseman, Rick Gutierrez. So he was over there, so we started chatting a lot, and he was from the LA area, and we were talking, and we became just kind of friends over there in the College World Series. And after we lost, I remember seeing them celebrate, and I was bummed that they're doing exactly what I wanted to do, and they're celebrating at the pitcher's mound. I'm on the top step, and I'm clapping and, you know, giving them, you know, what they deserve. They earned it. They beat us, and then there's championship. And he came over to me, and he had one of their shirts that, you know, they get T-shirts right away that says they're national champions. And he gives me one. He goes, here. And I was like, you know what? I just appreciated that gesture so much. And I, you know, still have that shirt that he gave me just because of that gesture. And it just, that's what it's about. I mean, these are the other memories. You know, we lost, and I don't like to talk about that too much that we lost. But at the same time, here's what I took away from that loss is that you have class acts like that. Oklahoma in general, I mean, just the whole team was a class act, and you know, and they beat us, and they won, and they deserved it.
And Augie remembers well the circumstances of that 94 game.
Yeah, I was hoping we won, and I could have given Augie a shirt, you know, of Georgia Tech with it and said national champion. That would have been nice. Hey, here you go, Augie. Thank you for sending me out there.
Holiday fouls off the 2-2 pitch.
Holiday, you know, I'm so impressed watching him play. I mean, he really is. You know, we talked about the scouting report on Holiday. I mean, he's, you know, a competitive player. You talked about Schwarzenegger saying he's the most competitive player he's ever coached, and he's truly a battler up there. And I'm just, his instincts in the game, that's what I love. You know, we've seen him already hustle down, covering first base, you know, on an overthrow as a catcher's supposed to do it. But, you know, sometimes you can get lazy, and he's not lazy by any means, aware of what Kevin Keys did, went down to first base and throwing the elbow, and he battles every at bat facing a great pitcher like Taylor Youngman. That was right there. That's a tough pitch right there that he had to foul off coming in, protecting the plate and keeping himself alive. He's definitely a good one and fun to watch.
Holiday named a second-team Louisville Slugger All-American this year. Pops up the 2-2 behind first base. Etier makes the grab. Let's check in with Steve Bunin. Steve, you had to mention it. Now Nomar's focus is going to be divided between the Frogs and the Longhorns in USA versus England.
The first meeting since 1950. Somebody was talking the other day and going, you know, if the United States beat England, it'll be the greatest victory in United States history. And I go, it's going to be the second. They're like, excuse me? I go, they beat England in 1950, and that was the greatest victory in U.S. soccer. And I'm really excited about this game. I've been following the World Cup. I woke up yesterday morning and went to the pub and caught the opening against South Africa and Mexico, and watched the recap of the Uruguay and France. And then today woke up I was up at 6:30 in the morning.
Coates K's, Rupp throws him out. 5 strikeouts for Youngman. Now, I'm sure a lot of fans will know that Nomar's wife is Mia Hamm, legendary soccer player. Your soccer interest, however, goes back pretty far.
It does. I was playing soccer. Gosh, I was playing both baseball and soccer since I was 5 years old. So I played both, and people are going, well, you like soccer because, you know, your wife, and now you love it more? And I go, no, I've always loved it, but I love watching it, and I'm just fortunate enough to have a wife who was really, really good at it, and enjoyed watching her play over the years as well.
Accurate statement. pretty good at it.
He was really, really good at it, and the best. And,
Women's World Cup in Germany?
In Germany next year. Yeah, and hopefully maybe we'll get a chance actually to go out there.
And Taylor Youngman is dealing here in the 4th.
he talked about confidence that Stephen Maxwell needed to go over there and carry down. It looks like Taylor Youngman is gaining confidence as this goes on.
Backdoor nearly open on the breaking ball.
It's a nice backdoor breaking ball that just smashed just outside of the plate right there. And, you know, he's having, once again, that just shows the confidence he had to be able to go, okay, I'm going to backdoor this breaking ball. And he's really feeling all his pitches right now. You know, we talked about earlier, he's really throwing a lot more breaking balls, and that's establishing his fastball. And like we said, it maybe not, you know, tipping the gun at 95 right now, but 91 in command is just as equally as effective.
His 1-2 to Curry. Popped up into center field. Cole Walla squeezes it. And since Youngman got a 4-0 lead, he has retired 7 straight. When we come back to Austin, we'll hear from TCU head coach Jim Schlossnagle.
Playing under Jim Schlossnagle, it's an adventure every day. He's a great guy, knows the game, and loves the game more than anyone I've ever met.
Learned a lot over the past couple of years, and mainly I've just become a lot more disciplined playing for a guy like that.
He knows what he's doing. He's one of the smartest coaches I've ever played for. He will definitely make him the best player you can be, and I mean, it's been a great experience.
The man they're talking about, TCU head coach Jim Schlossnagle, joins us now from the Horned Frogs dugout with Texas on top 5-0 here in the 5th. Well, Coach, now that Stephen Maxwell only goes 3 2/3, that kind of changes the way that you had hoped pitching would set up for the weekend. Where are you right now with how you're set up pitching wise, and what's the plan from here on out?
You know, we're in pretty good shape, and it's a short series. This isn't like it's not like a Omaha or a conference tournament where if you get in a loser's bracket, you got a bunch of games to play. I mean, one of our strengths of our club is our depth of pitching, which I didn't think in a short series was really going to get tested. So, you know, hopefully Trent can hold them down for a little bit. We have some other guys that we can pitch. We just got to find a way to get something going at home plate.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, Coach. What adjustments do you have to think you got to do?
Well, we got to stop. We got to. I mean, we got to stop chasing breaking balls out of the strike zone, you know, and we got to get our swing off on his fastball. He's starting to find his breaking ball for a strike. First couple innings, he wasn't throwing it over the plate. He was throwing it out of the zone. We were swinging at it. So, I mean, it's easier said than done, as you know. I mean, he's a good one. He turned out a lot of money to come to school for a reason, and he'll be a high pick next year.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. Good luck.
Right, thank you.
Taylor Youngman dealing right now for Texas. He's retired 7 straight Horned Frogs. The sophomore from nearby Georgetown, Temple area. Went to Rogers High School locally. They won a state title here on Thursday. Cameron Rupp gets the 5th inning started for Texas with a line drive single back up the middle.
You know, I like that. First pitch swinging. You see the pitch you like, go over there and attack it and drive the ball right back up the middle. Cameron Rupp did a great job right there doing that. Just that.
Rupp had a 13-game hitting streak, snapped with an 0-for-4 yesterday.
Start a new one. When you snap a hitting streak, you wash it out and you say, let's start a new one.
And Kevin Keys has been a part of really the critical play in this game 2 of the Super Regional back in the 3rd. A full count 2-out pitch. He hit a ground ball to the 3rd baseman Jansen Whitty. He threw it away for a 2-base error, allowing Texas to score its first 2 runs. And now pitch from Appleby all the way to the backstop, allowing Rupp to get into scoring position. And just 3 pitches into the 5th inning, Texas has a man at second base.
And we're going to see if Augie's going to just continue with a 5-0 lead, playing for that 1 run. Will he say, okay, you know, maybe, because he'll bunt with anybody. It doesn't really matter. I was thinking about it earlier. Was he going to do that with Stephen Maxwell? But at the same time, it's a little bit difficult when you see a guy struggling and having a tough time finding the zone and not throwing a lot of strikes. You can't do hit and runs or do things like that. But we'll see right here.
Keys chops the 2-0 foul.
And the other thing is going okay with Keys. You got 2-0 right there. Yeah, you're looking for a ball to just drive him in. But at the same time, even 2-0, no strikes. I like to believe you still got to think about going the other way. Drive the ball the other way, move him over to 3rd. You get a base hit out of it, not necessarily bunt, but and you know, Keys a big guy who really likes to show his power and go to left field with it.
Keys sends it into left center field. A base hit, scoring another Texas run. 6-0 Longhorns. Keys slides in head first with an RBI double.
Well, Keys does just a good job on this ball right here. You know, we were just talking about staying inside of it a little bit, maybe going the other way. He didn't pull off of that. He did stay. He brought those hands inside, stayed inside, hit it to left center. And the other great thing I really was so impressed with, and here's a big man, and right out of the box, he's going over there. He's running hard. That guy scores easily. But he's hustling all the way around first, and to put that into a double, because that was not an easy double. The center fielder did not go far to make that play. He was definitely deep, but did not go far, and he went over there and was hustling to get to second. It's another thing you'll see both these teams doing extremely well, is getting that extra base going. I need to get over there in the scoring position. And we'll see right here, right after that hit, he hits that, goes, and there it goes. He's going, he's hustling, he's looking. He hits first base, and he did not hesitate. He was like, I'm going to all the way. A nice head first slide on that beautiful soft turf, sport turf that they have. And, you know, great hustle right there to turn that into a double.
4 for 6 now with a pair of RBIs in the Super Regional. Kevin Keys, the hottest hitter in the NCAA tournament for Texas.
And it's another great job, especially when you have a guy like Kevin Lusson coming up. You still have now a man on second base, running in scoring position with nobody out, and you have a left-handed hitter. And hopefully Kevin can do his job once again, getting the ball to the right side. He can either, you know, going for a hit, but at least get it over there. Ground ball is still effective. Get another guy in scoring position over there at third base. It's always nice to have a guy at third base with less than 2 outs. To, you know, sacrifice flies so many ways, especially with Augie ball. There's so many different ways for him. I believe there's probably what they always say. How many ways can you get a guy in from third base? Maybe 14. I think Augie, there's 28, 30 some. I mean, he adds a few more.
Lusson hammers the 2-2 past the second baseman Pena. Keys gets a stop sign from Tommy Harmon at third. But Lusson makes it 3 straight base hits for Texas to start the 5th. Trent Appleby has faced 5 Longhorns. He's retired only 1. Moldenhauer struck out looking to end the 4th. Other than that, 4 base hits.
There he is, Kevin Lusson. I mean, you got to be thinking, like I said, as a lefty right there, when you see it, you got to be thinking going over to right field. And smart play by the third base coach there, holding up Keys at third base, because Kevin Lusson smoked that ball. It wasn't just your typical hit. He hit a line drive, and the right fielder came in. You know, Rance Rivera out there in right field coming in well, charging that and making a good throw to home plate. It wasn't, he didn't launch that ball. He threw a nice one-hopper to home plate, and it was low enough that the cutoff man could cut that off, so the batter runner could not advance to second base. Good job all around.
Tommy Harmon's only been doing that for 21 years.
He has a pretty good idea over there. He can good read, and you know, it's not one that he knows the scouting report. He knows everybody. He knows everybody's arm out there in the outfield. It's amazing what people think about what a third base coach's job. They think, okay, you just have to read him, wave him in, and maybe tell the guy how many outs. But there's so much more than just giving the signs. They have scouting reports themselves. They're aware of the arms in the outfield. They know whether a guy, you know, head on throws stronger, or if he took a couple steps to his left or right, doesn't throw quite as strong or accurate. They're aware of every little thing, so they can take the advantage, and they have to know that to make that decision whether I'm going to send a guy in on a base hit, if I'm going to hold him up. There's a lot more that goes into this coaching third base than just, you know, I got to give signs to deceive the other team, and they're aware of a lot of things. It's an important position on your staff.
We'll be checking in with Steve Bunin shortly for a World Cup update. USA and England.
Maybe if we have an extra TV around here and I can just give you the update, because no,
I
we got a game
in the corner there,
no offense to TCU or UT, but you know, like I said, great thing that ESPN's doing. You can get college baseball, World Cup, everything all at once.
Well, like we're saying about World Cup, you can get it on your television, on your computer, on your phone,
everywhere. I mean, like, I forgot what you have to text to get ESPN mobile TV. I mean, I think our current update, I just got something, and I usually don't like the updates.
Wall sends that one into shallow center. Featherston makes the grab. Keys can't tag as we check in with Steve Bunin.
I didn't want to see that result right there. You didn't have to show me that. You could have just said, oh, just let's say it's just 1-0 and they're down. But right, Gerard snuck in there. Gosh darn, he's so quick. You can't leave an opening like that. But, you know, okay, 1-0. That's all right. We can get back. It's still early. You never like to see a goal, you know, that early in the game. But at the same time, if it's that early, there's plenty of time to come back.
Fourth minute.
Fourth minute. I think that's the earliest goal so far in the World Cup this year. I think, you know, the earlier one was this today. I think Argentina had one in the 6th minute. It's just a beautiful header.
How impressive was Argentina today?
You know, they looked really well. Like, you know, I was just impressed by the 2 games today, the Argentina and Nigeria, and there's nice bunt there.
Etir gets the bunt down. Safety squeeze. Safe at first base as the second baseman Pena couldn't get his foot on the bag. Correction, it's the first baseman Curry covering. Could not get his foot on the bag. The safety squeeze loads the bases with 1 gone.
You know, we call that a safety squeeze because when the key for the runner at third base is to read that ball to see if it gets past the pitcher, and it did not. So he stays there. It's a good hustle to get down there. The first baseman's trying to get back there because he knows the pitcher has the ball, because you'd rather have the first baseman there catching that ball. He just couldn't find the base with his foot. So they're safe all around. So now you have bases loaded with 1 out.
Error on Curry, the second of the game on the first baseman, Matt Curry. He had committed only 3 errors all year long. 2 here in game 2 of the Austin Super Regional. And for the second time in 3 innings, Texas has loaded the bases. In the third, they ended up scoring 4 runs, all with 2 outs. The first 5 Texas runs were scored with 2 outs. Trent Appleby, the second TCU pitcher of the day, struggling. Moldenhauer retired on a strikeout. That is the only batter that Appleby has retired.
Well, right here, you know, as Appleby really has to think about saying, okay, maybe, you know, we got bases loaded, we got 1 out. I got a sinker. That's my pitch, especially as a side armor. Let's try to get that ground ball. Let's get that double play and get ourselves out of this inning.
Now, let me correct myself. He's retired 2 batters. Walsh popped up to the shortstop Featherston. That's the only out here in the 5th. We're back to the top of the order. Cole Walla, 1 gone, bases loaded. Wallace sends the 1-2 into the gap in left center. All 3 Texas runners will score as Walla digs for third. A bases clearing 1-out triple. Texas leads TCU 9-0. Just the second triple of the year for Cole Walla.
Well, I was talking about we're looking for that sinker instead. Off that he goes with the slider and it just stays up in the zone and it flattens out, so he's able to go over there and just drive that ball into left center and clear the bases. If you're a TCU fan, that's not what you want to see, obviously, but UT fans, they were over there, they're cheering, they're on their feet right now. They're going over, they're taking advantage right now of TCU mistakes, and they're really capitalizing on that.
Loy rolls this one past Featherston. 10-0 Texas. One of the big questions about the Longhorns, especially coming into this weekend when they weren't hitting well, only 1 run yesterday. The question was, does Texas have enough offense to win this Super Regional, to get to Omaha, and to win a national championship? You're seeing an explosion by the Longhorns today, 10 runs across.
Well, when you see that with 10 runs, that is an explosion. And what really sets them apart right now is them just taking advantage of the mistakes, the things that they're giving them, that TCU has been giving them. I mean, how many runs do we have now that are actually earned? You know, majority of them are unearned, or there was because of an error. It may not have been such a huge deficit, but they are taking advantage of it. And you know, good teams do that, and that's what you have to do. You know, you're ranked 2 in the country.
And Tan Shepard will add a couple more with a bomb over the left field bullpen. Tan Shepard's 2-run shot makes it 12-0 Texas. Game 2 of this Super Regional is all orange.
Well, if you're Trent Appleby, when you're thinking about that slider, we talked about that. His slider, he's been throwing that an awful lot, and it's kind of like a Frisbee slider, but you got to keep it down, and it's really just kind of falling right over the plate. And then Tan Shepard just takes, gosh, he gets that, and he knew he had that right when he hit it. That is such a good feeling. Whether you have a wood bat in your hand, an aluminum bat in your hand, and if you can square the ball up like that, they say it doesn't feel like you hit anything. It was just so, like, did I even feel that? And it went that far.
Moldenauer, the 9th man to bat for Texas, sends this one all the way to the warning track in left center. Coates tracks it down for out number 2. But Texas has batted around in the 5th, putting up 7 runs, and that is just now the 2nd out. It all started with a single from Cameron Rupp off of Trent Appleby. The Horns, who managed just 3 hits and 1 run yesterday against Matt Perk, have put up 12 runs through 4 2/3 against Stephen Maxwell and Trent Appleby, today's pitchers for TCU. Rupp fouls off the 0-1, and Appleby is finally a strike away from getting out of this nightmarish 5th inning for TCU.
They just want to come in the dugout right now and just get out of it, and let's just regroup and say, hey, let's sit down. Let's go, guys. Let's go over there. Let's regroup. Let's get back to playing fundamental baseball. Let's not make the mistakes. Get the pitching that we need, and let's get back into this. Let's go out there. Let's not hang our heads right now. We're still in this. It's 12-0, but let's go out there and let's make a game of it.
12 runs total now for the Longhorns, 6 of those unearned, including Etier, who reached on the error. That was the safety squeeze where the first baseman Curry didn't get his foot down on the bag. Now Rupp rolls it to the second baseman Pena, and finally TCU is out of the 5th. The Longhorns come up with 7 runs in the 5th, including the Tant Shepard car alarm home run over the bullpen into the parking lot. Texas 12-0.
You're watching the Road to Omaha. Playing for Coach Garrido has been an unbelievable experience for me. He's helped me in so many parts of my game.
It's an honor and privilege. We learn something new every day. He knows every aspect of the game, and you know, he's a big reason why this program's so successful.
He's unlike any other coach I've ever met in my life, and something that I think I'll remember forever and just try not to take for granted.
12-0 Texas on TCU as we reach the bottom of the 5th. Augie Garrido joins us now from the Texas dugout. And Coach, after 1 run, 3 hits yesterday, and questions about your offense, I imagine it's nice to look up and see a 7th spot in the 5th inning and a 12-0 lead right now.
We've done this from time to time. You know, yesterday we talked about the pitching edge, and today it's been just about the opposite, and that's the way these games go a lot of times.
Well, Coach, when you talk about also the pitching edge, what are you seeing out of Taylor Youngman today that's making him so effective in today's game?
He's hitting his spots. He's locating his fastball very well. He's keeping it down, away, keeping it down in the zone, using his defense, attacking the target, and he's getting his breaking ball over when he needs to.
Well, he's doing a great job. Great job, Coach, so far. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Garrido talked about the offensive explosion that Texas is capable of. I mean, you go back to May 23rd, last game of the Big 12 regular season for Texas. 20-11, the final score at Missouri. So 20 runs across in that game against Ryder in the opening game of the Austin Regional last weekend. 11-0 in that game. So as Coach Garrido said, they have been capable of putting up huge offensive performances. 17 against Kansas State during Big 12 play, 18 versus Iowa earlier this year.
Well, if you're Coach Garrido right now, you're going, well, I would really like one today, especially we're one game away from our season being over, and I do not want it to end today. And what a good time to have to put up a bunch of runs like they have.
Only one extra base hit yesterday. Just in the 5th inning, 3 extra base hits, 7 runs across for the Texas Longhorns. And on the mound, Taylor Youngman has been dealing ever since he got the 4-0 lead. 7 straight retired by the sophomore from Temple, Texas.
Facing Josh Elander, who a local boy here right out of Round Rock, going out there. Got the call to DH today, and he says that he's, you know, facing Youngman. He said he's never played here in this stadium, so this has to be a treat, never actually to be home and playing there. But he's faced Taylor Youngman. He has faced him in high school, and he goes, I've faced him 3 times. Was able to get a double with a couple of Ks. He says, but let's not talk about the Ks, but I got a double off him.
Elander rolls the 2-2 pitch to the second baseman, E-Tier, and he's retired. 2010 FIFA World Cup continues Sunday on ESPN and ABC at 7 Eastern. It's Algeria versus Slovenia at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Serbia takes on Ghana. Then at 2 Eastern on ABC, Germany against Australia. One game changes everything. The 2010 FIFA World Cup on ESPN and ABC Sunday. The World Cup is available on TV, online, and on your phone. Go to ESPNSoccerNet.com for more information. So, baseball/soccer analyst Nomar Garciaparra, who do you think is going to wind up capturing that 2010 World Cup?
That's a tough call. I mean, Argentina was fun to watch. Lionel Messi today was just so dangerous every time he touched the ball and so dynamic. That was fun. But I like Spain. I really like watching Spain play. I get so many stars on that team.
Jansen Whitty hammers the 0-1 into the gap in right center, and Whitty has an extra base hit with 1 gone. He's content with the double. And after 8 straight retired by Taylor Youngman, TCU has its 3rd hit.
Well, for TCU right now, you want to see that. You want to go back out there after a tough couple of innings. They put up a lot of runs. Let's just settle down. Let's go back there. Let's swing it back. Let's establish ourselves right now. Let's just kind of inch away, inch away, inch away. Even if we don't pull this game out, even if we don't, we still want to leave something that we can go on and say, hey, we're all right. We give that one up. That's fine. We come back tomorrow. We did a lot of good things here on out. Let's focus on that. We made some mistakes that cost us some of these runs. We can eliminate those. Those are easy to eliminate. And let's get back on track. Let's get back to swinging the bat, squaring the ball up. Let's get our offensive going so we can carry that to, to tomorrow.
4 1/3, just 3 hits allowed, 5 strikeouts for Taylor Youngman, who now has thrown 10 1/3 shutout innings versus TCU in Super Regionals the last 2 years. Game 1 versus TCU and last year's Super Regional matchup between these 2 teams, 6 shutout innings. Let me correct myself. That was Game 2 of the Super Regionals last year. Chance Ruffin pitched Game 1 for Texas, a complete game win for Chance Ruffin, who we will likely see in relief today. Youngman pitched Game 2 and had the 6 shutout innings.
A lot of decisions to be made if you're a manager right now, on both sides. Augie Garrido going, okay, how long do I leave Taylor Youngman in there? When do I bring in my bullpen? Do I bring in Chance Ruffin at all? Does he need to get some work? Do I hold off on him? On the TCU side, who do I go out there? Who am I going to start throwing out there? He's got a lot of depth in his pitching, like we were talking to Coach Lostenagle before. What am I going to change? Who am I going to put in there to finish this game off? Aaron Schultz up here, taking it. I love about Aaron Schultz. Great, last fall he had a 4.0 academic all-state accolades in high school. I mean, we can always talk about the athleticism of the players that are playing, but the academic side is so equally important, especially in the college baseball, and Aaron Schultz is taking full advantage of that.
Schultz down on strikes. Rupp throws him out. Let's check in once again with Steve Bunin.
Second baseman, number 2, Jerome Pena.
See, fundamentals. Hit that cutoff guy. Keep guys from advancing. And gosh darn that, they're really pounding each other over there. You were talking about it. You were saying maybe Florida State can come back and do what Vandy did to them.
No, that's exactly what Vanderbilt was down 6-0 yesterday. Came back, tied it before the McGee walk-off home run in the 9th, giving Florida State the Game 1 win in Tallahassee. Now back and forth in Game 2 of that Super Regional between the Seminoles and the Commodores. Here in Austin, Texas, it was TCU winning Game 1 3-1. A dominant pitching performance from the freshman lefty Matt Pert, 7 2/3. He struck out 11. But today it's been the Texas offense taking charge. 12 runs across through just 5 innings. And Taylor Youngman has held TCU scoreless through 4 2/3. Pena hits the 2-0 into center field. Walla back on it, reaches and makes the grab. Cole Walla lays out to snag the line drive from Pena and keep TCU scoreless.
That's just a great effort, great laying out, great extension by Cole Walla right there.
Preserving the 12-0 Texas lead. You're watching ESPN's coverage of the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. Game 2 of the Austin Super Regional between the number 2 national seed, the Texas Longhorns, and the TCU Horned Frogs. A 3-1 win in Game 1 for TCU. In Game 2, it is all Texas, 12-0 Longhorns, as we see Greg Holt come on for TCU as the 3rd pitcher of the game. Greg Holly on for TCU as the 3rd pitcher for the Frogs.
Yeah, Greg Holly comes out here with a very good fastball. They talk about it. He's got just great stuff, but for some reason happens to get hit. But when you have a good fastball, slider, he's got changeups. We talk about, we'll have to watch, see how his command is. And that's really going to be the key, like we talk about for any pitcher. But he's got a good hard fastball, power fastball. Probably stays a little bit flat. That's why he gets hit a little bit. But he spots that, and it's going to be really effective.
A spectacular catch in center field on the line drive from Pena. The defensive replacement for Texas, Connor Rowe, is actually who made this catch in center field. Texas bringing Rowe back into the game in center. So Cole Walla now in left for the Longhorns, and you see why Texas puts Connor Rowe back in center field. They are effusive in their praise about the defensive prowess of Connor Rowe. I mean, Augie Garrido is saying that Connor Rowe is an elite defensive center fielder, the best outfield arm that Texas has had in a long time. As Keys lifts that into right, Rivera makes the grab one away. I mean, that's high praise considering Kyle Russell had a great arm in the outfield for Texas in recent years. Drew Stubbs also roams center. Road to Omaha continues on ESPNU tonight. Arkansas versus Arizona State, the number 1 national seed. NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. ESPNU tonight at 9 Eastern. Here in Austin, Texas, Carter Blackburn with Nomar Garciaparra, 2-time All-American at Georgia Tech, Major League Baseball All-Star, and World Cup enthusiast.
Yeah, down 1-0 U.S. Let's hope they can pull that out. I woke up early 6:30 this morning, was watching South Korea go out there and put a couple goals over Greece, and then you had Argentina play out there against Nigeria, 1-0. Different pace in today's games compared to yesterday. It was a lot quicker, good pace. A lot of speed in the game. I'm curious. I'm sure England's bringing that to the U.S. for now. England's always play high-paced games. We got Greg Hawley in here for TCU. I mean, you look at him, he's 6'8", 215. Out of high school, was an elite basketball player. And I'm going, if I'm in high school as a basketball coach, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to have 6'8", 215 on my squad.
Greg Hawley, you're down 12-0. Obviously, Hawley's job is to try and eat as many innings as possible here for TCU. This is his second NCAA appearance. Through 3 innings in his only appearance in the regional. Gets Lussin to fly to center. Schultz makes the grab, 2 gone. So Hawley retires the first 2 Texas hitters he faced, something that his predecessor Trent Appleby struggled with.
Well, Greg Hawley, you look at that, you look at his frame. He's a big, strong kid. He's got a good arm. He's got a live arm. You talk about, you know, his stuff gets hit for some reason. He's a good athlete. He's one of those guys that a lot of scouts are saying, you know, he's going to be better in pro ball. He's going to be more effective in pro ball. He was drafted by the Brewers, but the reason for that is a lot of times you see kids and, you know, guys, stuff like that with a good arm, good size, good build. They get hit in college because that aluminum bat is sometimes of a factor. Sometimes they get, you know, they just get hit, and you get that wood bat in the guy's hands, and that live stuff when you're hitting, you know, mid-90s is a difference from getting hit and it's breaking that bat. So a lot of scouts like him say, you know what, now he's facing guys with wood bats. I think he's going to be more effective.
Greg Hawley's dad Gary played in the major leagues with the Texas Rangers. Older brother Gary Jr. played at Siena for the Saints. And Hawley's 1-2 just misses to Connor Rowe, the center fielder who made the great grab at the end of the 5th. Rowe punches the 2-2 foul. Strike 3. Rowe is down on strikes. Hawley gets Texas 1-2-3 in the 6th. The welcome change for the TCU Horned Frogs, trailing 12-0 in game 2. Here in Austin, Texas, 12-0 Texas on TCU as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Texas trying to even the Super Regional 1-1. There's TCU head football coach Gary Patterson with wife Kelsey taking in the TCU Texas game. Now, Jim Schlossnagle, TCU baseball coach, and Gary Patterson, TCU football coach, are close, but they have a little bit of a ribbing going back and forth because when Gary Patterson shows up at TCU baseball games, the Horned Frogs don't always perform as well as they do when Gary Patterson is not in attendance. So the trend continues today. I'm sure Jim Schlossnagle appreciates the support from Coach Patterson, but with the Patterson family in the stands, TCU is trailing 12-0.
Well, I guarantee that if Texas pulls this game out and we go to a game 3 tomorrow, Coach Schlossnagle might ask very politely, hey, do you mind going home and watching it from, you know, the couch and watching us on TV rather than being there? You know, no offense, but we need everything. If you talk about superstitions in baseball and in this game, and which I know nothing about.
Says Nomar Garcia-Parra.
I don't know what he's talking about, but we need all the good vibes we can, and let's just take advantage of them. And I'm sure Coach understands that just as well, especially you want everything, so he would get it. He'd be happy. I'm sure he'd be happy to watch it from the couch.
Von Tunglen, the pinch hitter for TCU, fouls it off. Gary Patterson, the American Football Coaches Association Coach of the Year, guiding TCU to a 12-1 record. Boise State beat the Horned Frogs in the Fiesta Bowl. TCU finished 6th in the final polls, and with Texas and TCU out there on the baseball diamond, all of the talk swirling around college sports about conference realignment, where these teams are going to be in the future. And Texas has one of the biggest cards to play in the potential conference realignment discussion. And the latest is a Board of Regents meeting on Tuesday to determine the future conference affiliation for Texas. And right now the Big 12 is down to 10 because Colorado going to the Pac-10, Nebraska to the Big 10. The question is when Nebraska will go to the Big 10, when Colorado will go to the Pac-10. So there will be Big 12 football this coming fall, but the question is where Texas will be. Will the Longhorns be in the Pac-10? Will there be some form of resurrection for the Big 12? I think the prevailing theory and most of the media reports anticipate that Board of Regents meeting Tuesday for the University of Texas to approve a move onto the Pac-10. But DeLoss Dodds, Texas athletic director, issuing a statement yesterday saying they would be premature to speculate about what the Board of Regents will do on Tuesday. Texas Tech also has a meeting of their Board of Regents scheduled on Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday will likely be a definitive day in the future of college sports and conference alignment, and perhaps the end of the Big 12, perhaps. But TCU in the Mountain West Conference right now, that conference is right on the fault line as well. They've already added Boise State. That was the announcement yesterday, that Boise State moving from the WAC to the Mountain West Conference. Featherston grounds out for out number 2 here in the 6th.
Yeah, all this realignment, you never know what's going to happen. You know, you can't keep up. You're like, you know, wait 5 minutes, things are going to change. So
there's Texas head football coach Mack Brown in attendance. So if a football game breaks out between TCU and Texas, we got a couple of good head football coaches, both national coaches of the year. Mack Brown
stepping right in.
And that was David McWilliams chomping on the cigar next to Mack Brown, former Texas head football coach. So quite a few great football coaches in the stands today. Holiday hit by a pitch. We visited with Augie Garrido about the potential conference realignment on Thursday.
My understanding is for the University of Texas, the first priority is to remain in the Big 12 and continue to make the Big 12 one of the best conferences in the United States. Should something or a series of things happen that make that impossible, and there has to be a change, we have been assured by the athletic administration, the university president, that all sports, not just football, but all sports will be under consideration and be looked after and put in the best possible place for the University of Texas.
Well, he alluded to University President William Powers, and there is Bill Powers, one of the key figures right now in the future of college sports. Where is the University of Texas athletic program going to be aligned conference-wise? And those decisions are ahead for the University of Texas. Youngman makes a nice play coming off the mound to retire the pinch hitter Zach Jordan. No runs across in the 6th. 12-0 Texas on TCU. Game 2 in Austin. DeLoss Dodds, the University of Texas athletic director. Chris Plonsky to his right, the women's athletic director here at the University of Texas. University of Texas president William Powers has the conference landscape changes around college sports. Those three people are amongst the most important decision makers in all of college sports right now. Former Texas football coach David McWilliams and Texas head football coach Mack Brown all taking in game 2 of this super regional. And that is a group of people who have significant decisions ahead of them. As we kind of chided Augie Garrido, there may be a lot of universities and athletic programs worried about what their future is and what conference they're going to be in. The University of Texas and Longhorns athletics will be well taken care of wherever they are competing.
You saw them on their Blackberries right now. You were thinking they're just getting updates and messages right now, or like, okay, we got to do business. We got to be ready right now. They're probably saying, okay, we'll go to that conference if this and this happens. How much business do you think actually just happens over the Blackberries and iPhones nowadays? You know, or they could have been on their Facebook page and Twitter, the Twitters, I guess, or tweeting or whatever they're doing nowadays.
Yeah, now I noticed David McWilliams does not have any kind of BlackBerry or iPhone or a Droid. He just has a cigar, enjoying it, sitting there next to Mac Brown. Well, our eyes and just about everyone's eyes on that group of people is the University of Texas, the future of the Big 12, the future of the Pac-10.
There we go. He's like, hold on, don't talk to me right now. I'm on my Facebook. People know right now.
And again, Tuesday, the University of Texas Board of Regents meeting to officially determine the future conference affiliation of Longhorn Athletics. Full count pitch, fouled off.
You think those meetings they're following on Twitter? You think they're going, if you guys really want to know what's happening, what we're discussing, just follow us on Twitter and we'll give you the breakdown. That's going to be the future. That's next. Or, phones with Skype, you can just on our phone, you can see the video conference in as it's happening. Can I just keep plugging all these new technologies? What do you think?
How's your tweeting going right now?
I have no idea how to tweet, or if that's what.
It's a good thing Kyle Peterson does. I tell you that much.
Out of the way, Kyle. I need to learn. Definitely need to learn.
Another full count pitch to Etier. Hammered foul. 10th pitch of the at-bat coming to Jordan Etier. His father, Mark, played baseball for TCU.
I'm wondering who he's cheering for right now.
Etier lifts this one into right field. It'll hang up. Schultz makes the grab, one away in the 7th. Log on to Facebook today /ESPN Omaha and become a fan. Maybe that's what the Loss and the gang are up to up there. Logging on, posting their best college baseball photos and comments. You can show your school spirit on Facebook.com /ESPN Omaha today. Plus on Twitter, you can follow 3-time All-American Kyle Peterson on the road to Omaha. From the first pitch to the last out, follow his journey on Twitter as we determine who will hoist the NCAA trophy.
Perfect. See, I had no idea that those promos were coming on next, and talking about Facebook and Twitter and Skype and what else is out there now?
You're making
so many new things going on.
You're making smooth broadcast segues already.
Already, without even trying.
Just like picking it behind second base and gunning down a runner at first. Just like that.
Speaking of athleticism, here we go. Taylor Featherston, another nice one, nice scoop, and a good hard throw to first base.
Well, the score's 12-0, but Greg Holly has done a nice job in relief as the 3rd TCU pitcher of the day. He has retired all 5 Longhorns that he's faced, so giving TCU exactly what they needed out of this 3rd pitcher of the day, just stopping the Longhorns' momentum and getting outs.
Just stop the momentum, just keep doing your job, go ahead quietly, get the outs, go back in there, get your team back in the dugout to go out there and try to put some runs on the board.
This TCU team is the only team in the country who has not lost a weekend series this year.
And they were hoping to keep that streak alive, because if they do, we all know the result, and that's going to Omaha. I mean, I think people who are right now who may not be following college baseball all that much to really understand what this really means. I mean, these are the playoffs. This is, if you lose, you go home. This is it, and your season's over. A long season of hard work, and your goals, your dreams, especially as a college athlete, is to win a national championship. As a baseball player, getting to Omaha, getting the College World Series, the environment, everything that comes with it, to be able to have that chance to take home that trophy. This is what it's all about. And if you lose, you're home.
Holly K's Brandon Loyal, 1-2-3 7th. We stretch it out in Austin in a 12-0 game. Game 2 of the Super Regional between TCU and Texas. In the 4th inning, Texas got the scoring started with a single. Tan Shepard scoring, Brandon Lloyd then broke it wide open in the 5th. 7 runs across on 6 hits. In that 5th inning, the Longhorns sent 10 men to bat. Tan Shepard with the big bomb, the 2-run homer over the left field bullpen. And now in the middle of the 7th, it is 12-0 Texas on TCU in Game 2 of this Austin Super Regional. So in Game 1, it was 3-1. It was a pitcher's duel. TCU prevailed. Now it's all Texas. Carter Blackburn with former Georgia Tech All-American and Major League Baseball All-Star Nomar Garciaparra. What a difference for Texas in Game 2. A 12-0 lead right now on TCU.
Well, right, and I think if we go off with on Game 1, TCU took advantage of Texas mistakes, and here's Texas taking advantage of TCU mistakes out there and really capitalizing on, really opening up this game to have a 12-0 lead. And not only that, to have put a 0 on the board. You see Taylor Youngman doing a tremendous job on the hill for Texas.
12 runs across for Texas, and 6 of those runs are unearned. 3 errors by TCU today, 2 by the first baseman Matt Curry, allowing 6 unearned runs across by the Longhorns. So as TCU bats in the bottom of the 7th, it's Taylor Youngman trying to continue a shutout. He's gone 6+. When we spoke with Augie Garrido in the dugout, he told us off the air that Chance Ruffin could come into the game as early as the 7th. So Youngman has accomplished that goal by the Texas staff this year to just get the ball to Ruffin with a lead. Right now it's 12-0, but Youngman not ready to surrender the baseball. He's gone 6 1/3, shutout ball. Mixing his pitch as well, no more.
He really is. He's a step breaking ball outside, making them chase. We talked about Coach Schlossnagle, and he was saying early on they're chasing balls out of the strike zone. But chasing those balls out of the strike zone means you have to be in the strike zone, and he's doing that with his fastball, establishing that so he can go to his breaking ball and make them chase out of the zone. He's really had good command of using all his pitches today that have made him so effective. You know, we talked about maybe his velocity and his fastball, which has at times can reach, 95, and today he's been around the 89 and 90 place. But the way to make that so effective is your command. He's had that command all day. His breaking ball, he's been throwing that for strikes, and he's been utilizing his changeup. And when you're able to do that, you got to think about a whole lot of things at the plate, and you have a tendency to chase balls out of the zone.
Well, Youngman's already celebrated the championship this weekend. Rogers High School. He actually went to high school 3 years at 2A Rogers. Won a state championship there in 2008. His junior year, went to Georgetown High School, a 5A school, his senior year. But on Thursday, as Youngman was walking into the ballpark for getting ready for Texas practice, he got to watch the tail end of Rogers 2A state championship right here at UFCU Dish Falk Field.
So there's a lot of championships happening on this field, and he's hoping for another one. He's hoping to pull this off and take the team over to Omaha.
And talk about a guy who loves being a long run. He grew up in the area. What do you say about getting recruited? As soon as Texas showed any interest, he said, "Yep."
That's right. We were talking about it. We were like, "Gosh, you know, good baseball all around here, Texas. We know that, especially coming out of high school." And other teams were looking at. He was talking about, well, when I had an opportunity, maybe be recruited by colleges. We were saying, so how many colleges was looking at you? He goes, it didn't matter. The minute Texas called us, pick up the phone, I said, I'm there. And I was like, well, that's not the best way to negotiate. Or, some might have to negotiate. He's like, I'm there. Didn't matter. I knew that's where I wanted to be. That's where I wanted to, play my college career. He knows the tradition. He wanted to be a part of it. And here he is being effective in the Super Regional. Another K.
Dealing 7 shutout innings, 9 Ks. Taylor Youngman and the Longhorns. A 12-0 lead into the 8th. See the explosive 5th inning for Texas. They sent 10 men to bat, scoring 7 runs in the 5th and blowing this one wide open. 12-0 Texas, 6 of those runs unearned, while Taylor Youngman continues to deal. 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, no walks for the Texas right-hander. That is our Coke Zero game track. Just east of the University of Texas main campus, the 40 acres at UFCU Disch-Falk Field. The winner between TCU and Texas advancing on to the College World Series. They will face either Vanderbilt or Florida State. In Omaha, Cal State Fullerton has a 1-0 lead on UCLA. Florida won last night against Miami, game 1 of that series. Bottom half of the bracket play beginning today in Augie Garrido and the Texas Longhorns trying to get to the College World Series. It would be Texas' 34th appearance in the College World Series. They've won it 6 times, twice with Augie Garrido as a head coach in 02 and 05. And as we mentioned earlier, both 02 and 05, they lost game 1 of the best of 3 Super Regional, then came back, won the Super Regional, went on to Omaha, and won the national championship. They lose game 1 here to TCU, 3-1 yesterday. In command of game 2, looking towards Sunday in game 3.
And they are hoping that history repeats itself all the way through. And we got TCU on the other side going, you know what, we want to make history ourselves. We want to knock them out, make our own history, and go to the College World Series for the first time in school history. And like we talked about earlier in the program, what a thrill that is and what it means to be the first time in the College World Series. Like I said, I got to experience that at Georgia Tech, and I hope everyone gets to experience that.
Tan Shepard continues his hot day, a leadoff single in the 8th. He is 4 for 4 with a pair of runs scored. And the College World Series does indeed return to Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska one last time. Coverage begins next Saturday, June 19th, 2 Eastern, live on ESPN HD. For more, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. Bottom half of the bracket, currently on ESPNU, South Carolina and Coastal Carolina doing battle.
Our Chanticleers.
The Chanticleers.
I just like the name. And now that I know what it is, I like it even more.
Now, Arizona State is the #1 national seed in the NCAA tournament. Virginia was ranked #1 for much of the year, as was the University of Texas. So 4-6-3 double play here by Moldenauer. Retires Tan Shepard as Holly continues to do well in his role for TCU of eating up innings. And
he's done a great job since he's come in the game. I mean, I know it's tough to come in and pitch, you know, when you're down 12-0, you're like, gosh, but he has stopped the bleeding. That's what you need. I was telling you before, you really need to do some good things right now. You need to settle down. You know it's going to be tough. Taylor Youngman's doing a great job on the other side. But we want to go back there and play fundamental baseball, do the good things. If there's tomorrow, we have to play tomorrow against Texas, we got to come in here and focus on the good things that we can do on the second half of the game and say, all right, this is what we're about. This is the baseball. You're getting great pitching right here. Greg Holly is doing a great job. You saw a nice double play turn. Let's get back to fundamentals. Let's erase our mistakes, get them out of our head, and let's refocus, because they showed yesterday they can come back and they could produce runs and beat a pretty, #2 in the country, Texas.
Jansen Whitty throws out Cameron Rupp, retiring the Horns in order in the 8th. Texas leads at 12-0.
Youngman's still in there, right?
Cinderella wins the national championship. Gone! A grand slam homer! Stanford wins! Home course to the top. Holy cow, what a catch! That's it! LSU wins it!
Rosenblatt Stadium hosting the College World Series for the final time this year. Super Regional game #2 here at UFCU Disch-Falk Field is all Texas 12-0. Coverage of the road to Omaha continues on ESPNU and ESPN2 tonight. Paired game 6 Eastern on ESPNU, Alabama Clemson. Then at 7 Eastern on ESPN2, you'll see either Florida against Miami or UCLA versus Cal State Fullerton. The NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One on ESPNU and ESPN2 tonight. The most College World Series titles, USC, with that incredible run. Rod Dato winning most of those titles for the Trojans. LSU winning its 6th last season. to pull even with the Texas Longhorns, who won it last in 2005. 6 NCAA championships for the Texas Longhorns over the year. Mentioned earlier, 2 from Bib Falk, who won 20 Southwest Conference titles in 25 years and 2 national championships. TCU and Texas used to compete against one another in the Southwest Conference. Speaking of conference realignment, Jimmy Farr, the pinch hitter for TCU, rolls it to the second baseman, Jordan Etier. Now, Taylor Youngman has been impressive.
He really has. I mean, we just keep harping on everything he's done. I mean, here he goes. He goes inside with his fastball, jams Jimmy Farr, gets a ground ball to second. He's really kept guys off. He's made them swing at his breaking ball off the plate. He's done everything today, and it's, you know, we've seen 2. You know, over the last couple of days, we've seen some just great. We knew they were going to get great pitching out of these 2 teams, and we've seen just 2 great pitching performances. You know, with Matt Perk yesterday for TCU, and then today with Taylor Youngman.
Davey Wright, the new second baseman for TCU, batting with 1 gone. He looks at a fastball up in the zone. Rice's All-America third baseman Anthony Rendon gave Taylor Young a heck of a compliment, saying that Rendon thinks that Youngman is the best pitcher in all of college baseball. And when you consider that Cole Green was the Big 12 pitcher of the year, you consider, I mean, just what we've seen in this series from Matt Perk, the great lefty, going to 14-0 on the season, to say that Taylor Youngman is the best pitcher in college baseball is pretty high praise from an All-American. There's Sharon Youngman, Taylor's mother.
Turning her son on and watching him just pitch a gem of a game right now. And I know he's a little upset right now. The last 2 pitches, he's like, okay, the last one was a little bit off, but where was the pitch before? He was hoping for a strike. Now he's falling behind 3-0 and get back on track and get that command going and attack the hitter.
Just the 4th 3-ball count of the day for Taylor Youngman, and he burns a fastball strike in there. Wright rolls the 3-1 pitch to the first baseman Shepard. So Youngman battles back from 3-0 to retire Davey Wright. Youngman grew up on the north side of the Austin area, the Georgetown Temple area. Said he never missed a UT home football and basketball game. So I asked him now, well, do you still? He said absolutely correct. Any football, men's and women's basketball, anytime the Horns are playing, I'm going to be there.
That's what's great about college sports. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I'm glad that I was able to, you know, out of high school to go to college, attending Georgia Tech, and had an opportunity to sign to go professional baseball out of high school. But I really enjoyed those other aspects of it, going to college football games, going to go see, you know, all the other sports, from, you know, women's volleyball to tennis to all those things. It was a lot of fun. That's what, taking in the whole experience.
Von Tunglen rolls it to the wall, and he's digging for third. So Kyle Von Tunglen has a 2-out triple for TCU. First base hit for the Frogs since the 5th inning when Whitty doubled. Let's check in with Steve Bunin. Here in Austin, Texas, game 2 of the Austin Super Regional. Texas has a 12-0 lead on TCU, meaning that we are looking to Sunday in game 3, a decisive game 3. It'll be at 4 Eastern, 3 o'clock Central Time here on Sunday afternoon.
Kyle Von Tunglen had just a great at-bat right there, hitting a nice triple. And these are the things we're talking about. You want to see that. You want to see a good at-bat. Go out there, square the ball up, get back to what you're doing. Here's another base hit. Get that run on the board. Excellent piece of hitting right there. Get that run on the board. Say, hey, we can score. We are not going to be shut out today. We're going to go out there. We're going to put some runs up there. Because what? We're still alive. You know, if we don't pull this out today, if we don't score another 12 or get extra innings and pull this out, we're going to tell you, hey, we're not dead yet. We got another game tomorrow, and we're going to come at you and come do this because we know we can score off you.
Taylor Featherston's RBI single, scoring the first TCU run of the game, 12-1 now. Carrillo and Miller warming in the bullpen for Texas now. So Chance Ruffin not up and throwing. You haven't seen Chance Ruffin yet in this series, the outstanding Texas closer. Ruffin, who has 14 saves, he leads the country in strikeouts per innings pitched. 96 Ks in just 61 2/3. ERA under 1. So a lights out closer. Last year he pitched a complete game in Game 1 against TCU, then came back and closed out Game 3. Texas didn't get a chance to use Ruffin yesterday, trailing 3-1. They didn't bring in the closer, and here today it's a 12-1 game in the 8th. Youngman misses with his 100th pitch of the game.
This is what's it's interesting when you talk about not having a chance to use Ruffin yesterday. This is the decisions, the tough decisions that managers have to make. They're going, okay, if I have to bring him in and we're up by 11, it's not a closing situation. Do I really want him to go throw? Is it going to tire him out? Because I really want him for tomorrow's game, or has he not thrown enough? Maybe I need him to throw an inning, get some work in, so he can stay sharp for tomorrow. These are the decisions, and these are knowing your players, knowing what they need throughout the course of a season to decide, okay, you know what, no, you know, the extra rest will help him. It doesn't matter. Extra rest actually helps him more than it hurts him, or no, I can throw him every day. His arm bounced back. I mean, we talked about last year, throwing a complete game and then coming back and closing, you know. That was last year. How has he been this year? Do we need to, do we need to rest him, or does it bounce back? Hey, I have no problem throwing him today. Let him get some work in. He's going to stay sharp, and then he'll be ready again tomorrow.
Well, they can stretch Chance Ruffin as much as they want tomorrow. Runner goes on the 3-1 2-out pitch. Holiday takes it. Featherston allowed to take second base without a throw. Brandon Workman is the presumptive Game 3 starter for Texas. That's how the weekend rotation is set up for most of the year for the Longhorns. Youngman pitching on Saturday and Workman pitching on Sunday. Game 3 starter for TCU should be Kyle Winkler.
You see Youngman and Rupp over there talking a little bit. The way he's been pitching, they haven't had that many people at second base. So they're like, all right, let's get the signs back. Let's get back on track. We have a man on second base. Let's get back. We got to mix them up. So let's get it right and get out of this inning.
Taylor Youngman's full count 2-out pitch. Misses.
Here he goes. I mean, it looks like he holds up right here. Here's another one, another strong individual. That ball was definitely down. He held up. Good call by the first base umpire. So no, he did not go. And Ryan Holiday down 11 runs in the bottom of the 8th, sprinting down to first base on a walk. Gosh.
You like it, don't you?
I really do. I've enjoyed watching him. We've heard about him. You heard coaches talk about him, and I can see why. I mean, they talk about him just being the ultimate team guy. Doesn't have an ounce of individualism in his body. They say he's an absolute dirtbag type player is what they call him. And we talked about it yesterday. We're like, well, he can't get dirty here because there is no dirt about it at the pitcher's mound. But gosh, he really shows that mentality when he plays. Another pitch the crowd really wants right there, and Tulane, I think, even later in the end, you think they'd have established a strike zone, but they're still trying to look for it and get all those pitches right now.
Zach Jordan lifts the 1-1 down the right field line. Kevin Keys calling, making the grab to get Texas out of trouble in the 8th. So TCU finally comes up with a run, but Taylor Youngman pitching out of the jam. 8 innings, only 1 run allowed by the Texas right-hander.
You're watching the Road to Omaha.
You're watching ESPN's coverage of the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. From the capital of the Lone Star State, Austin, Texas, Game 2 has been all burnt orange. The number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, the Texas Longhorns, a 12-1 lead on TCU. A must-win game for Texas. TCU took Game 1 on Friday, 3-1. So Augie Garrido's Longhorns needed to come back on Saturday, get a win to force a decisive Game 3 on Sunday, and that's exactly what they've done. 7-run explosion in the 5th inning. Taylor Youngman has made it stand up on the mound, giving up only 1 run through 8. And so here it is, 9th inning. Texas 12-1, comfortably thinking about Sunday afternoon, at least on the verge of thinking about Sunday afternoon, and a decisive Game 3 here at UFCU Disch-Falk Field.
On the verge. When in college baseball, you can see these offensive outputs, but then again, you see the pitching staff that Texas is it ever really comfortable? Do you ever really feel comfortable? It's like in college baseball, do you ever think, is enough? And he liked to think so, but at the same time, when you look at that pitching staff that Texas has all year, and Youngman and Ruffin in the bullpen, and the other guys that they have out there in the bullpen, that, okay, I can say, okay, they do feel comfortable right now. Not totally comfortable, but there is somewhat of a comfort level.
Well, Workman, who pitches tomorrow, as you take a look at Cole Green, who lost yesterday's game. Workman's last outing was a shutout in the regionals. 6 hits, 7 Ks, complete game win. So that's the Sunday starter for Texas, who we will plan on seeing tomorrow, Brandon Workman, after a great gem from Taylor Youngman. Now, Cole Green took the loss yesterday. Only gave up a total of 3 runs, but you see why Rice head coach Wayne Graham, who's seen a lot of Texas baseball, in fact, he's a University of Texas alum, he said not only is this the best pitching staff that Texas has ever had, Wayne Graham says this may be the best college pitching staff he's ever seen. Now, mind you, Wayne Graham had a pitching staff where 3 pitchers were drafted in the top 8 slots in the Major League Draft a few years back, 2004. So he knows a thing or two about college pitching staffs. 2010 FIFA World Cup continues Sunday on ESPN and ABC. The action begins on ESPN 7 a.m. Eastern. Algeria facing Slovenia, then 9:30 Serbia versus Ghana, and at 2 Eastern Germany against Australia. One game changes everything. The FIFA World Cup on ESPN and ABC Sunday. The World Cup is available on TV, online, and on your phone. Go to ESPNsoccer.soccernet.com for more information. Again, ESPNsoccernet.com.
After Kevin Keys walked down first base, they get a pinch runner in for him, and it's Kyle Lusson. And he's got a well-deserved ovation by this home crowd at Texas, giving him a big ovation. Like you said, he's just been unbelievable in this regional and super regional thus far.
Keys with RBI double today, RBI home run yesterday. Kevin Lusson had a 2-run double back in the 3rd when Texas came up with 4 2-out runs in the 3rd to take a 4-0 lead. So now it's the Lusson brothers out there.
So I was thinking, I was going, gosh, you're up to plate, and my brother out there at first base. I go, if I hit a gapper, you better score for me. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, all right, run, you better score, you better get on your horse, let's go.
It's like that. Look at the difference offensively between Texas in Game 1 and Game 2.
And that's the difference between losing Game 1 and winning Game 2.
It's a difference of 1 run and 12.
That's right. That's right. And there are times in baseball when you put up a 12 spot, you're going, okay, let's save some for tomorrow and make sure we have enough for tomorrow, that we haven't, exhausted them all. But, we looked at what they've done in the regionals. They can do it again.
Kevin Lusson pops up the full count pitch. It drifts back on the left fielder, Farr, who drops it at the wall. Extra bases and another run. 13-1 Texas. Farr just appeared to lose it.
That ball just kept floating, floating, floating. We touched on it a little bit yesterday about the game, about the wind here, and especially with the big overhang here
at the ballpark. If the wind is blowing straight back behind home plate out to center field, you have to get it, if you get it above the overhang, it'll carry. And we see the wind kind of blowing from right to left. So when he got right to left, there was a high pop-up, and that just kept carrying, going, and got in there for a double.
Connor Rowe pops up to the center fielder Van Tunglen, one away. A nice moment for the Lusson family there. There's Kevin doubling in his brother Kyle, who was on as a pinch runner. Lusson brothers from McCallum High School here in Austin. Kevin's a sophomore, Kyle's a senior.
Just like I said, you better run and score for me.
Kevin with a nice day. 4 for 5, a pair of doubles, 3 RBIs, and a run scored.
Numbers like that will keep you in the lineup. It's a good day, and you want to go home and say, okay, let's have another one like that tomorrow.
Connor Rowe would love to get in on that. After that fly out, Connor Rowe is now 0 for 17 in NCAA tournament play. But he made a heck of a grab in center field.
You can help the team in other ways. If it's not happening on one side of the plate, maybe offensively, you go out there and defensively and you save some runs. And we saw that earlier, and he did.
Etier lifts the 2-0 pitch, foul down the left field line. So the 13th run across for Texas. That's the only one that TCU pitcher Greg Holly has surrendered, and that was with the aid of the misplay in left field. We talked about how Holly's job was to come on and eat some innings and stem the tide, and that's exactly what he's done.
He really has, and my only thought is he's done such a good job today. Will Schlossnagle go, okay, gosh, seeing what he's done, he says he has so much depth in his pitching staff. Is he going to be ready? Can I use him tomorrow? Will he be available tomorrow for us? Maybe not. Maybe, maybe he says, hey, I can use him today and do exactly what we're talking about. Keep that, stop the bleeding, going out there, do a good job, and take that momentum into tomorrow. Look like a little cross up right there.
Pitch in the dirt, allowing Lusson to move down to third. Wild pitch. We talked about Texas resting closer Chance Ruffin for Sunday. Tyler Lockwood went an inning and a third yesterday for TCU. Not in the game today, so both closers are rested for that decisive game 3. And college baseball with fewer games, you have full count pitch hit the other way by Etier. Make it 14-1 Texas as Etier singles home Kevin Lusson.
Jordan Etier does a good job. He stays inside the ball. The barrel stays inside this one, and he just goes the other way because the ball looked like it was coming in on him. It's actually stayed away. I'm sorry, and he did a good job going down and getting it and going to right field and getting that base hit for an RBI.
Road to Omaha continues on ESPNU tonight. Arkansas versus Arizona State. 9 Eastern, the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One on ESPNU tonight. Arkansas against the #1 national seed, Arizona State.
And look, we just saw inside that Texas dugout. It's a little bit different. The look on their face is a lot different than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday they were just kind of sitting there and kind of going, oh my gosh, what's going on? I can't believe we're down 3-1. Let's go. And and now they're a little bit happier, especially when you have a 14-1 lead. And like I said, TCU right now they're the other way, thinking, all right, let's get back on track.
Walla punched out, looking. 2 gone in the 9th. Now, worth repeating that TCU, although they're playing on Texas home field, TCU is the home team because this is an NCAA competition. It's not a home game for Texas officially. It's a NCAA play. A coin toss then determines who the home team would be in game 3. TCU won that coin toss, so coming back tomorrow, TCU will be the home team getting that last at bat as they do today, even though it's Texas home field.
That's right. And what I found odd is that they actually switched dugouts. That they actually switched dugouts, which was shocking to me. I'm like, do you really have to switch dugouts? Because you know, just say one team's home, one team's not. You can stay, you know, stay in the same dugout, you know, especially when Texas, I mean, that's their home dugout that they've played in all year. But NCAA rules, so, you know, say, okay, home team, you know, be on that side, go to the home dugout, whatever's established at that field. Although if I'm TCU and we were talking about superstitions earlier, they might say, can I be home field and go to the other dugout because we had success there yesterday.
Game 2 of the Austin Super Regional. The best of 3. Game 1 went to TCU. Game 2 is all Texas. 14-1. Longhorns on TCU. Carter Blackburn, but former Georgia Tech All-American. Big League All-Star Nomar Garciaparra from UFCU Dish Falk Field in Austin. Texas came up with 7 runs in the 5th as the Longhorns try to make it back to Omaha for the 34th time. TCU has never been to the College World Series. So we came in today saying TCU was a victory away from the College World Series for the first time. That will be the case tomorrow, but Texas will be a victory away from the College World Series for the 34th time in the decisive Game 3 tomorrow. That is a foul ball, says Nelson Graham, third base umpire.
Jensen Whitty doing a good job. Still stayed with that instead of assuming that it was going to be a foul ball. He just made the play and let the umpire call it fair or foul. And that's a good job. It's so easy to assume, like, all right, that's a foul ball, I can just stop, and next thing you know, the umpire's calling it fair. Just make the play. Made a good strong throw over there, and they can determine. And after you made a good throw and the guy was going to be out, at first you were hoping to say, are you sure it's not fair? You turn around like, are you sure I could have, you know, did you see the same thing I did? Are you sure maybe it was fair?
Loy hammers that one clearly foul.
Clearly foul. That one, now that's foul. He smoked that ball too. You're like, now that's foul.
You don't blame the outfielder far for not going after that one, do you?
No. Turn around and see it foul.
How about mentality-wise for TCU? I mean, 3-1 had to have been exhilarating yesterday to come into Austin and get that win. Now you not only lose, but blown out in Game 2.
You know, in baseball, especially when you go to pro ball and you're playing so many games and you're playing every single day, and there's a lot of games being played in college. You know, you have 3-game series. You do. Sometimes you have that. Sometimes you have those series where one team blows one out one day, the other team comes back and blows them out, and then it's that third day, that rubber match where it's like, okay, that's the tight game. You know, you look at it, TCU's probably going, okay, maybe we had that rubber match in the first game, 3-1, and then, you know, are they blow us out today? Let's go blow them out tomorrow. And you got to do that. It's really, I mean, I know it sounds a bit cliche, and you say, okay, we got to do one day at a time, one game, and but it's so true, especially in baseball, because you are playing so many games, and when you're in a series like this, you know, this is one of the fortunate things about winning the first game of a 3-game series, that if you happen to have a day like today and you get blown out, there is tomorrow for you. You know, where you really put the pressure on Texas, and Texas's job and mentality says, okay, I'm glad we blow them out. Let's take that momentum and take it into tomorrow's game so we can go out there and pull this off. But I really think so. They have that thinking on their side, and TCU is going, hey, this is why we won the first game. You know, and it's over, it's even, now we're back, it's Game 7. Like we say in the playoffs, you always a Game 7. It's do or die for both teams.
Loy works the walk from Holly, putting runners first and second with 2 gone now. Now both teams have snapped one another's streaks. Yesterday TCU snapped Texas' 20-game home winning streak. Horned Frogs had won 11 straight prior to today, where Texas is up 14-1 in the 9th.
Perfect day here. Let's go. 5 for 5, Chef. 5 for 5.
Dan Shepard 4 for 4 on the day, lifts the first pitch into right field. Jordan makes the grab, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. Texas looking to close out Game 2 of the Austin Super Regional.
The NCAA Baseball Super Regionals is presented by Capital One Venture Card, official credit card of the NCAA Men's College World Series, and in part by the new Extra Crispy Strips from KFC. Big strips double breaded for a big crunchy taste. So crunchy, so good.
Game 2 of the Austin Super Regional 2010 variety. It's Texas on top of TCU 14-1 going into the ninth. And Taylor Youngman will have a chance to close out the victory. He is our Capital One player of the game. 8 innings pitched, 9 Ks, 1 walk, only 1 run allowed by the sophomore right-hander from Georgetown, Texas. Pinch hitter Relly Mercurio on for TCU. Here in Austin, Texas, game 2 of the Austin Super Regional. Second straight year that Texas and TCU have met in a Super Regional. Game 1 went to the Horned Frogs 3-1 on an outstanding pitching performance from Matt Perk. Today it is Taylor Youngman with the better pitching performance of the day, and the Longhorn Bats that came up with only 1 run, only 1 extra base hit. No hits with runners in scoring position a day ago, exploding for 14 runs today against 3 different TCU pitchers. And now Texas is on the verge of closing out a Game 2 victory, forcing a decisive Game 3. Carter Blackburn with former Georgia Tech All-American, Big League All-Star Nomar Garcia-Parra. And the Longhorns have turned the tide here in Game 2.
The crowd didn't like that pitch, and that pitch was down. It was a ball. Relly Mercurio doing a good job right here, swinging the bat. Ground ball to shortstop. Gobbled him up.
Loy makes the play, 1 away. Vanderbilt and Florida State now tied 1-1 after the Commodores' Saturday win in Tallahassee. The winner between Vanderbilt and Florida State will face the winner between TCU and Texas. The College World Series begins next Saturday, 2 Eastern, ESPN HD. Still to come tonight on this half of the bracket, Cal State Fullerton and UCLA, Game 2, Miami and Florida, Game 2. Taylor Youngman trying to close out the complete game win. It would be his 8th victory of the season. Youngman has 1 complete game on the year. Only run allowed was in the 8th. RBI triple. So no more we talked about for TCU. I mean, you get blown out in Game 2. How about mentality-wise for Texas after you get beat 3-1 and really dominated by Matt Perk, the TCU pitcher, in Game 1? Mentality-wise, what's it like to come out and get a 14-1 win in Game 2?
Well, you feel like you have the momentum on your side. You definitely did. You're going, okay, we swung the bats. We didn't score any runs. You know, we scored 1 run and really didn't put any other runs other than a home run that gave us that run yesterday by Kevin Keyes. Been swinging hot bat, but we were able to put 14 hits. See, we can swing the bat. We talked about it earlier, like, well, the offense might be, you know, suspect for Texas. Obviously, it's not. So you take that going, and you're confident. And with, you know, you have just 3 ace-type pitchers in your rotation, and we're going to see another one tomorrow in Workman. So you want to carry that into tomorrow. You got to also say, okay, anything can happen tomorrow. TCU is still playing an unbelievable opponent over there in TCU, who are hungry and a great opponent. We got to just take what we did well today. We swung the bats, keep that momentum for tomorrow, and go get them, because we know that they're going to come out firing and wanting us tomorrow.
Well, both of these teams have excellent pitchers ready for Game 3. Kyle Winkler's 11-1 on the year. Brandon Workman 12-1 on the year. Texas offense exploding in Game 2 after being shut down by Matt Perk, the freshman lefty who ran his record to 14-0 with the victory yesterday. 1 gone, man at first for Jansen Whitty. Youngman tries to close out the complete game. The decisive game 3 tomorrow in Austin will be 4 Eastern, 3 o'clock local time between Texas and TCU, the Horns and the Horned Frogs. Youngman gets the ground ball that he was looking for, but it's off of his shin, rolling all the way out into shallow left. So a base hit for Whitty. And Youngman takes it right off his leg.
Yeah, if you're Texas, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see your starting pitcher who is throwing a gem of a game to get hit and go, uh-oh, not a comebacker right now, come off of him, right off his shin. But, you know, as a hitter, you're excited about that. Not that you want to see anybody hurt, but that's what you want to hit that ball right back up the middle. That's where, you know, even when you're playing games during batting practice, we always say if you hit one off the screen, it's a hit, because that's where you want to take the ball. And Jansen Whitty did a good job taking that ball right back up the middle and getting a base hit out of it.
So Texas pitching coach Skip Johnson will make the pitching change, and a great round of applause for Taylor Youngman. The lifelong Texas fan who got the chance to close out the regional goes 8 1/3. He'll get the win in the Super Regional Series tying game 2. And now Youngman hands the baseball over to Kendall Carrillo. Youngman goes 8 1/3, and Nomar was so impressive that fastball he struggled with the command of early on, and yet he pitched right through it, pitching off the breaking ball.
He did. We talked about that earlier. It was like he didn't seem to have that life that he wanted to on his fastball. We talked about from a power fastball pitcher, so he went to his breaking ball, just really kept it out of the zone. Now all of a sudden he started throwing it for strikes. So if you think, okay, let's stop swinging at breaking balls out of the zone because we're swinging at balls, and then all of a sudden he comes back with the breaking ball and he throws it for strikes. So now you're looking for it to be a strike, and you continue swinging at it out of the zone. And then he started off that breaking ball. He was starting to establish his fastball. Came back with this fastball and had command of it. Despite not having the velocity that he might have wanted or has in the past, he was saying, okay, I'll spot my fastball and go off my breaking ball. And what a tremendous day he's had today.
8 1/3 for Taylor Youngman, and now he hands the baseball over to Kendall Carrillo, on for the 11th time this year. See the excellent strikeout to walk ratio, 16-2 for the junior out of Sweetwater, Texas.
Talking about TCU earlier with Coach Schlossnagle talking about the depth in his pitching staff, and Augie Garrido has some depth over there as well. I mean, look at Kendall Carrillo's lines there. I mean, he's done quite a job for him this year. I mean, he comes out with a fastball. He's one of those kind of a fastball slider type pitchers, really competitive out there on the hill. I mean, he played football at UT, so that tells you the kind of mentality he has out there, that football mentality, aggressive, going after, attacks the strike zone. And, you know, when you see guys who do that, you know, you see his ERA with such a low ERA there. That's because he's attacking the strike zone, and I'm sure he's probably one of those as a football player. It's like, you get a hit off me, I'll attack you too.
So Carrillo on in relief of Taylor Youngman, trying to get the last 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th here. Again, TCU is the home team today. It's an NCAA game, so even though it's on Texas home field, TCU is the home team here in game 2. TCU will be the home team in game 3 tomorrow. Again, 4 Eastern, 3 o'clock local time for the decisive game 3, as Texas tries to close out what's now a 14-1 game. Jimmy Farr, the TCU right fielder. Did not go around on the 0-1, says first base umpire Scott Irby.
Well, you know, Jimmy Farr is a really good fastball hitter, and you know, I was looking at Kendall Carrillo. He really likes to throw his fastball, so you think, okay, this is the guy I want to go after and want to go, you know, get my knockoff, especially with a guy running in scoring position right now.
And there's Farr taking an aggressive swing, lifts it out to center field. Rowe runs it down, however. Tagging at second base, Ealing are on to third, but Bottom line, 2 outs. He got his swing in,
He got his swing, got the fastball he was looking for, exactly what we're talking about. Put a good swing. He hit that very well. Just we talk about you have bad aim sometimes, and you know, good swing.
So we're 1 out away from a decisive Game 3. 4 Eastern, 3 o'clock local time between the number 2 seed in the NCAA baseball tournament, the Texas Longhorns, and TCU. Horned Frogs will try and bounce back in Game 3 to reach the College World Series for the first time, while Texas looks to continue the momentum of this dominant Game 2 performance as they try to reach the College World Series for the 34th time, the 6-time national champs.
We knew it was going to be quite a series. I mean, last year they went 3 games as well to decide who was going to the College World Series, and it looks like we're going to have that again. Going to Game 3.
Roller to the third baseman, Lusson across the diamond. The tag is applied by Terrence Shepard, and Texas closes out a 14-1 win in Game 2 of this Austin Super Regional. So 14-1, Texas bounces back from the 3-1 loss on Friday, and they bounce back in spectacular fashion today.
They really did. They took advantage of mistakes on TCU's side. I mean, they put up 14 runs. You can see it's easy to talk about the offense when you look at 14 hits and 14 runs, but at the same time, let's not take away from the gem that Taylor Youngman threw today. You know, to hold TCU to just 1 run and going all the way into the 9th inning, almost a complete game, and just did a tremendous job today. It's really his game.
Well, we're now even 1-1 between Texas and TCU, as are Vanderbilt and Florida State, Cal State, Fullerton, UCLA, Miami versus Florida still to come tonight on ESPN2. Augie Garrido's Texas Longhorns, the number 2 seed in the tournament, come back on Saturday with a 14-1 win over TCU, forcing a decisive Game 3 tomorrow, 4 Eastern on ESPN between TCU and the Texas Longhorns to determine who heads to Omaha in the College World Series. Once again, the final score in Game 2 of the Austin Super Regional, Texas 14, TCU 1. Coming up next on ESPN, it's NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying. Next on ESPNU, the College Baseball Studio Show. Join us here in Austin tomorrow, Game 3, TCU and Texas, 4 Eastern on ESPN. Later today at 6 on ESPNU, Alabama and Clemson. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Nomar Garcia-Parra and our entire crew, I'm Carter Blackburn.